Okay, let's go ahead and we're just gonna jump off into this and cook a little bit, man. What's up, man? Welcome on into the barbershop. We got a good show planned for you today. We gonna talk that talk today. Rosie's huh?
Your mic.
Oh, hold on. See, this is what happened when you don't got your engineer here. You know what I'm saying? When your engineer, you know what I'm saying, your engineer got to go to these conferences and stuff like that. Your audio don't be jumping like that. I'm glad you're back. Now we back. Let's go. Let's get it cooking. We got that audio set up for you. We ready to go. We got a great show planned for you today. Make sure you hit that like button on the way in. Make sure you hit that notification bell. Make sure you're doing all the above. If you're listen, matter of fact, we might try this out. I'm gonna just ask y'all like this. We do it at 9 in the morning. We doing it what? It's 12 o'clock now. Is this more tenable to y'all? Well, I mean, I'm willing to change it up. We'll see how the numbers do. A lot of people say, man, I can't get up that early, or I have to watch it later. So if these numbers do pretty good, or you let us know in the comment section if this is a better time for you, we will take an account for that. We might change it to 12 o'clock if 12 o'clock is a little better for y'all. You know how we is. We rock with what y'all want to do. So, but we got to get into this coaching search situation. We got a great show planned. We're going to talk a little bit about that coaching search and why everybody is missing the entire point behind it. I mean, these people, these guys are truly, they are telling on themselves. And I don't know if they've been in the interviewing process, but the way that they explaining this to people is crazy to me. And the fact that these guys is acting like, oh, this is the most crazy thing I've ever seen. We're going to get to that. Come on, man. We'll get to that coming up as well. We're also going to get to this. Calling the Browns dysfunctional about everything and keeping everything under one blanket is lazy, bro. It's a complete lack of detailed analysis going around when it comes to the Cleveland Browns. It's lazy at best. I found it that anytime we're talking about anything, we boil it down to they're terrible, they're no good, and they're worst ever. We'll talk about that coming up, and we'll show you how this is just lazy analysis. We got to do better. Stop playing around. And then we got your calls, man. We're going to get your phone calls. We got some phone calls from you, the VIP hotline. We'll take your phone calls here right on the barbershop. We're the first to do it. We take these calls. Actually, we're not the first to do it. Shout out to Sports for CLE. They got the voicemail of truth and reason. If you haven't checked me out every Friday on Sports for CLE on Cleveland.com. I'm on there every Friday, pretty much. So check that out too. But we got the voicemails from you. We want to be part of the voicemail hotline, VIP hotline. Become a member today, and you can have your information and your comments heard on the show. And then finally, we got to get to this. One Ohio big dog already became a member. Thank you so much, sir. Welcome to the family. Well, we got one more thing we got to get to. The 2026 draft wide receiver class is a 3-man race. If you've been watching the brackets that we've been going over with me and Tyvis, those videos are up for members, VIP members. We've been talking about the class so far. We will be getting into other position groups as they come along, but the wide receiver class we've been breaking down since the end of the season. I think it's also been nasty work that we've been still talking about a lot of different things. Nobody's really breaking down these receivers. Nobody's getting into the receivers. Nobody's getting into this draft. As you can see, if it ain't about a quarterback, don't nobody want to talk about it. That's why the barbershop is the place to be. That's why we get it done, and we will talk about these wide receiver groups, how to get better at wide receiver, and let's talk about getting that. So we got a great show planned for you. Get your Kool-Aid. Get your stuff ready. We ready to go right here on a Saturday afternoon, right here on the barbershop. Come on back in. Let's get this thing going. Let's start talking about it right now. It's been a lot of people telling on themselves. I'm starting to think that nobody had no regular jobs before they started getting in the media. Maybe you guys didn't have no regular jobs prior to this, because the outrage that I'm seeing about people talking about this job search and what's going on and why are they asking for essays, and I'm sitting around looking, I'm as a person who graduated college, left college, moved to North Carolina to start my regular career. A guy that came out of business school. I'm confused at why people is thinking about the Browns asking for detailed, thoughtful analysis when it comes to who's going to be the head coach of their football team, and they're getting 20, 30, 40, 60 million guaranteed dollars. They're the leader of their organization. Do you think that they just bring people in and say, what's your favorite color? You see, this is what happens when you live a diet, when your information is built on a narrative. When your information is built strongly on a foundation of empty calorie narrative diet, when we do this job, you end up not being able to critically think. If you say, I want a leader of men, how do you go about finding out if somebody's a leader? You ask them questions in detailed situations in the interview process. Do you bring them in and say, hey, I know you, you know me, let's look at film, and then it's over with? Where did you work at before you started talking about this stuff? Have you not been through these interviews? I'm starting to believe that. I'm looking around. See, this is the credit. This is the credit. Let me just tell you this. Essays for head coaches sounds crazy too. Watch this. After today, I don't think you're going to think of it the same way. This is the conversation where we got to talk about it. Let's get this thing going. Tom Pelissero, let's get to his comments. If you just tuned it in, we're going to catch you up on Tom Pelissero's comments. And we're going to get to what he said about the interview process. And we're going to break this thing all the way down for you. All right, here we go.
Haslam bristled at the Browns front office. Jimmy Haslam bristled at the Browns front office and operation being termed dysfunctional. That said, we're sitting here the Friday before championship weekend. The job is still open from the first Monday of the coaching cycle. Word is they are not Rooney Rule compliant. They cannot hire somebody right now. The Bills might be looking at somebody that they want to hire. The Bills are already Rooney Rule compliant. Their job's been open a fraction of the time, and we're reading about people pulling their names out of consideration for the Browns head coaching job. What is happening there, Tom Pelissero?
First of all, I would say Andrew Berry is the last person who is just going to interview somebody solely to fulfill the Rooney Rule.
Correct.
If he's conducting an interview, he wants it to be with someone who's a real candidate. Mike McDaniel would have fulfilled that. He decided that he just didn't.
First and foremost, let's break this all the way down. Let's get off into this thing right now. This is the problem. This is the problem when you're not serious about doing your due diligence in the Rooney Rule. The Rooney Rule has become a sham. The Rooney Rule has become some sort of a box that you check off. The Rooney Rule is bring in the next African-American coordinator and check the box so we can hire who we want. Now, let's give credit to the Cleveland Browns, because when it comes to minority hiring, the Cleveland Browns and Haslam have been at the top of the food chain when it comes to giving people of color opportunities, not only as head coaches, but all throughout the front office. All throughout the front office, whether it's GM, director of scouting, player personnel. They've done a tremendous job in doing that. The second part of this situation is this. Andrew Berry, as a man of color, is not going to bring somebody in just to fill and check off the boxes. So the premise that you're starting with, coming back from the Rooney Rule, this is why I tell people all the time, y'all got to stop. This is the funny thing about it, man. Y'all be thinking y'all be sounding so smart when it be like, no one's going to take this job. No one's going to take this job. No one's going to take this job. Well, listen, there's some African-Americans that can't even get an interview. Oh, you shouldn't start the program off saying that part out loud. So yeah, you talking about the folks that get ushered in, the folks that come in through the back door, the folks that already, we got the wink, wink, nod, nod. You need to stop telling me about people that are so smart. This is their second bite at the apple. They're not going to waste their opportunities. Well, guess what? There's people that should have got first opportunities. Eric Bieniemy, we won't say any names. We'll talk about him later on the show. But there's people that won't get a first opportunity to do nothing. What are you talking about? Let's stop acting like everybody gets a fair shot at these jobs. No, there are people who get 2 to 3 opportunities to one person's no opportunities. None. 0 opportunities. You know what? I started on the internet because I didn't get opportunities. Right? So let's not act like everybody got the same level. They're starting off with the same level of playing field. Let's just get that out of the way right now, because maybe we got some things to talk about. We just starting. Let's go.
Want to follow through on that job coming off of his initial Zoom here. So that's one factor. You're right. They're the only team that has not conducted a single qualifying interview. That'll change, or is scheduled to change next week when they have a second interview with Nate Shieldhouse from the Rams. I would just say this. The Browns search process and interview process, which they have run a number of times, is unlike any other in the NFL, and it plays to certain types of candidates. They are a data-driven operation in Cleveland, and so they spend an extraordinary amount of time gathering data on their coaching candidates. You're talking about taking a personality test. You're talking about writing an essay. You're talking about completing homework assignments going into both the first and the second rounds of interviews. It plays toward the types of candidates that they have in the mix, which is very, very smart people in a lot of cases that just often happen to be tall, thin guys who came from Ivy League schools, so that's certainly not a requirement. That's the type of candidate generally that is going to fit into a data-driven environment. So
there's a written test. There's a written test, huh? Really? Like they want you to write an essay? This is why I want to be the coach of the Cleveland Browns, or questionnaires,
a multi-part essay, a personality test, and then additional homework assignments if you get through the first round to get into the second round. Which you can imagine then.
The answer can't be Google me? Like you can't go Signetti? I know I'm being flippant, Tom, but that to me, I don't know. You're hopping around the country interviewing for jobs, kids, spouses, boxes being packed because you've hit the road and you're going to sit down and write an essay? You know,
you could imagine then when certain candidates decide not to follow through on interviews, part of it may be that it's more than just show up in a nice suit and answer questions in the room. And that speaks to how the Browns organization operates.
Sure.
Paul DePodesta got there 10 years ago. He built out a massive data and analytics department. Those people have a strong voice in everything that the Browns do.
You see, this is why you should be watching. This is why you should be watching the Barbershop, because I'm going to show you how to debunk all this stuff and get this thing to correct it. So you telling me that head coaches that I don't know, that I'm interviewing for a job, have a problem with making sure that they are represented properly in a interview? So when, kind of like when you go to the NFL Combine and they ask you questions that have nothing to do with football, when players go to the NFL Combine and they ask them offensive questions like, hey, what sexual orientation is your mom? Oh, you mean those type questions? Or, hey, are you a gangbanger? Where do you come from? Those type of questions. Oh, you mean the same type questions that they ask young people and black guys about all kind of different things, and it's under the guise of, well, we're gonna give you a bunch of money. You're the face of the franchise. So why would you not ask another grown man who you don't know, who's going to be the face of your franchise and the coach and is going to make player personnel decisions, cutting you, and all of us, and all of a doggone sudden, what? This is preposterous. This shows you in America the two different rules that we exist upon. This is the problem. See, the media is closely aligned with the people that are the tellers and the sayers. Those are the people that are inside the organizations. So you tell, why can't you just say, Google me? Well, if I'm a player and you've just seen 35 years of tape on me, why can't I say, go watch the tape? Why I got to ask your questions? Why I got to digest your playbook? Why I got to learn your playbook and then tell it back to you so you can be comfortable with, no. But you see how it's good for one, but it ain't so good for the other. Just giving you that word. Let's continue. I'll show you something a little later.
There's a lot of time that is consumed once you're on the job with those conversations. And so the interview process is kind of a preview of that. So we'll see what direction their search goes.
Sure.
Again, Grant Udinski, Nate Scheelhaase, two big brain dudes who, you know, again, happen to be tall, thin guys.
Nice.
They both are in the mix. Udinski's there now. Scheelhaase expected interview on Monday. If it's not one of those two, then the other candidates that we know of as of right now are Jim Schwartz, who's the defensive coordinator, who they want to keep regardless, and Todd Monken, who does not fit in any of the categories that I just mentioned, other than he's a very intelligent guy who's run successful offenses in the NFL. I would tell you, Rich, the sense is the Browns are very intrigued by the Udinski and Scheelhaase possibilities because they're both guys who are, I mean, Grant just turned 30. He's in his first year as the Jaguars OC, but he's unbelievably brilliant. Scheelhaase is in his mid-30s, you know, was at Iowa State most recently with the Rams. Those guys fit the pattern. If they...
I'm going to tell you about this inferiority complex thing that we got going on. Just because you're 30 years old don't mean you're smarter than everybody. Just because you're 30 years old and you got to where you were and somebody gave you an opportunity. Now, I like Udinski as well. But just because somebody gave you an opportunity quicker than other people get opportunities does not mean that you're brilliant. See, there's a thing is if you tall, he said it, I didn't. Tom said you're tall and handsome-looking fellows from Ivy League places. Unbelievably brilliant. How? Tell me. If your narrative is he's unbelievably brilliant, but you got a problem with him explaining how he's brilliant, if you're unbelievably brilliant, this is light work. I'm going to show you how light it is to go into an interview prepared. I'm going to show you how light it is to go in prepared. Because when you get outside of this sports context, let me just tell you, when you're out there and you want to do other things, when I worked in corporate America, these interviews is common practice. These interviews is 2-3 interviews in person, 2 panels asking you about, tell me a time about what? Tell me a time about this. See, a lot of y'all, no disrespect, I done been in this game a little bit here. Like it's a lot of y'all that just came up in the media and it's just like, okay, cool. But outside of these little doors where the good old boy system don't work, you actually got to prove what you can do. You got to have a track record. You got to be better. You better look the part. You better say the part. There's 3 or 4 buzzwords that they disqualify you if you just sit in an interview and look crazy. See, y'all forgot this is the 12 o'clock show. The 12 o'clock show, I'll be awake a little bit. I done already had my 3rd cup of coffee. Catch up. We're going to get to it.
Are not, if they ultimately the Browns on their scorecards that they collect do not decide that those guys are the best candidates, then the default, the belief within the league is the default would be Jim Schwartz. Then you're trying to figure out, all right, well, now what do you do on offense to pair him? Who is willing to take that offensive coordinator job? There's just a lot of steps in the process, Rich, but the Browns, this is not new. They have done this for a long time, and it's just, as one high-powered coaching agent said to me the other day when we were going through the list of all the openings, the Browns are the Browns. Their process is different than everyone else's, and we'll see where it leads them this time.
Hey, you made it all the way to the end.
I appreciate you, Tom. I don't know, you know, he talking to high-powered dudes, but let me just show you what ain't high-powered. Let's get to this. Let me show you about this. This is why you don't play no games with folks. You gotta show them how they be moving, and you show them What's good for the goose is good for the gander. Let me remember this. Remember this. Let's take this down. Let me show you what I'm talking about right here. Let's cook real quick. We just gonna cook a little bit. How Shedeur Sanders blew his chance at being a Giant. Remember this? Shedeur Sanders did not put his best foot forward when interviewing to the Giants quarterback during the pre-draft process. Former Colorado star reportedly failed to identify errors in his mock playbook install set as a part of the Giants pre-draft interview process, which is common practice in the NFL. So you telling somebody got to give me something. This is why you don't play with G. Bush in the afternoon. So you telling me that you're outraged that a coach who's going to control the entire organization has to write an essay, but you drop Shedeur Sanders down to the 5th round because he, quote unquote, failed to identify errors in his mock playbook install set as part of the Giants pre-draft interview. So think about it. They talk about, I got wives, children, I'm trying to do another job. So you telling me that Shedeur Sanders in the pre-draft process should have memorized 32 fake playbooks and to diagnose which plays in those fake playbooks for each and every team it was, so he could prove that he could be a starting. You see how I got a problem with it? And by the way, why all y'all talk about this is standard NFL practice? How was letting the coach slide through with no tough questions interview? Is that the reason that they just, I don't know. But according to Albert, this is common practice in the NFL. We also have told you in the channel, asking highly inflammatory questions is practice too. The Giants, one, they give players an install and there's a mistake intentionally put in the install, Breer said. He didn't catch them and got called on it and didn't go well after that. He was pissed that they did that to him. So you meaning to tell me this is why these dudes be fraudulent. It be blatant fraudulent. So you telling me, I told y'all how it worked. This is why they don't like getting attacked. Why would you point out this inconsistency? You notice, I told people, y'all done put the cape on. Y'all keep caping for these coaches, but when it comes to them doggone players, everything's fair game. Because I can tank your draft stock. The arrogance level that these cats got is, you know what? Why would I be coming in here doing, bro, because you want a Fortune 500 job. Why would I? Let me tell y'all something. Let me get to this. I ain't going to say no names. I'm going to just give you how this look. See, you done played around with me today. Y'all out of touch. You talking about essays. Let me give you I was auditioning. I'm already in the game, by the way. I was auditioning for a nondescript, not going to say the name, place, whatever it is. I was interviewing for a position for a daily radio show. After leaving my current job, which I have responsibilities and I'm managing all kind of people, I was brought into this job and I was asked to write a 5 to 6 hour rundown based upon what I was needed to say during a show. They wanted me to have, mind you, this ain't that long ago. They wanted me to have teases, intros, segment enders. They wanted me to have topics and a guest list, imaginary topics for what I would do a show today. Topics, guest list. Not only did they want the guest list, they wanted to know I had a big enough Rolodex that if I did a show like that, I could have national guests on and national and local guests. I had to give them a mythical rundown. 15-minute segments scheduled, weaving between local sports, national sports. and I had to deliver that to them and sit in an interview and talk about why I picked what I picked. Now, this is after I worked the job today. This is, mind you, they know who I am. They've listened to every single show I've ever done. They got all the tapes. I am G. Bush. It is what it is. So when people is walking up, running around, talking about, I can't believe they asked for essays. My question is, what the hell did they ask the rest of y'all in the interviews? Is my interview different? Ooh. Man. This is why we probably should stay. This is why we probably should stay in the morning. If y'all questioning what kind of interview questions people is getting, I'm saying, let me show you what my interview looked like. So, no, this is par for the course. And this is to do a radio show. This ain't to be the head football coach of a Fortune 500 company. And you're surprised? I'm surprised that you ain't been out here living enough. Hey, bro, you better get them passports up, bro. Maybe we should start having, let's keep it a buck. Let me watch this. Now, here's the problem. Here is the problem. Why is we talking about it as if guys is not coming out here asking these questions? I'll give you another example coming up later, but this is crazy work to me. Courtesy 92.3 The Fan. Why? What do you mean this is a bad look? The goal is to get the right person for the job, not to have a look. The problem with people is y'all always going for a look. That's your problem. I want to go for the act. I want to go for what is real. I want a good look. Looks is deceiving, bro. Looks is deceiving, bro. Let's take a look at it.
Guys in 2 days say thank you, but no thank you to the Browns. Is that a problem, or is that just the way it goes?
I just think it's a bad look, man. I think people are looking at this job going, it's last. This might be the worst job out there. I hate to think that, but it feels like trade deadline day.
I wouldn't mind.
And everybody else is getting kind of who they want, and we're kind of sitting back, waiting and waiting.
Do you want to, let me ask y'all a question. This is the crazy part about it. Do you want a feeling? How is it different if everybody in the world wanted the Cleveland Browns job? Would you feel good that at least they wanted it, but the Browns turned out to hire the wrong person? No, you wouldn't feel that way. I don't care how many people, quote unquote, look like they wanted it. That ain't what the job is. The job is to get the best person for the job. It's not to feel good about yourselves in this inferiority complex that the Browns are so bad. Somebody come in and save me. Let me tell y'all something real quick. See, God dealt with me a little something. Come in and save me. Come in and save me from whatever's been going on with us for so long. I know we weren't no good, but just give me somebody. See, that's the problem. I know a lot of people would be jumping from relationship to relationship, just jumping around. Just, you know what? I want to get in the next relationship so that person can make me feel good about what I did. No. You need to work on yourself. See, I ain't just talking to y'all. I'm talking to myself. Stop running around here telling folks you chose them people. Did nobody tell you to get in a relationship with them? You knew they was bad to start with. Let me tell you something. I was at the altar, knowing this wasn't gonna get done. I was at the altar knowing it was a bad look. I was at the altar saying I do, knowing it won't work. That's on me, not that person. Did nobody tell your dumb self to get up there and say, I do? You should have found out what was going on with yourself and what was in your mind that told you you needed to do that, even though the Lord himself said this ain't a good look. Here's a problem. You worry about looks, feelings, emotions. I feel like it's, no. I feel like it's give me the right person and let's cook. I feel like it's, hey, let me get the right person, not the person that's going to make me feel good. Sometimes what you need ain't to feel good. It's to, matter of fact, talk to these people right here. I'm going to just slowly, I'm going to just dive into this person. See, this is going to cross over a little bit. This going to cross over and we're going to get into it a little bit. Because when you looking at what's going on here, this is the insecurity. This is the insecurity level that most people have for the Cleveland Browns. It's built in what used to be. It's built in, oh, well, this happened to us before. Courtesy of 92.3 The Fan. What are you saying?
I think the Browns fan feels that they're in Browns prison. Quarterback situation, cap situation, the quarterback that you don't even want to play, roster situation, cap, the whole thing, how the way to build out of this is to trade the greatest player on defense in the franchise's history.
See, sometimes also you could be a fan, a fanatic, and you could also be ignorant. First and foremost, let's get it this straight. The media is doing a bad job of trying to explain something to people. Let me just tell y'all something. Y'all need to rip the Band-Aid off. Shout out to King Carmen. Shout out to 92.3 The Fan. Y'all need to rip the Band-Aid off. Your way out of it is not trading. And by the way, he was talking about Myles Garrett. Your way out of it is not trading Myles Garrett. That contract is not tradable. What are we talking about? So y'all need to stop coddling some of these people in the fan base who are upset because it don't match their ideology. It don't match what they think the Browns should be doing. It don't match what the Browns look like. Y'all worry about looks too much. From the looks of it, Myles Garrett broke the sack record. From the looks of it, he just signed another contract. You can't get rid of his contract. Instead of saying that's the way out of it, there is no way out of it. Either you ride or get off the bus. There's no trading Myles Garrett. What are you talking about? How is that? It's not possible financially. It's not. It's not possible culturally. It's not possible in any realm of possibility. Stop giving people these straw men that they can believe in. It's not happening. The second thing that's not happening. You said the quarterback that ain't gonna be. They don't want to play. They ain't talking about. They're not talking about Shedeur Sanders. It's about Deshaun Watson. Again, you're doing a bad job of trying to give people something that they want to bite onto. Deshaun, let me just say it all for you. Despite everything in your stomach and heart that wants to go against, Deshaun Watson, he's not going to be on the, yes, he is. Deshaun Watson is on the team. Stop talking about getting a veteran quarterback to try to see, no, he's on the squad. Financially, you cannot move him. By the way, all the dudes you talking about bringing in is not better than him. If you're sitting around here trying to appease a part of the fan base that's still running around here talking about what allegations happened and what happened with this and what happened with that, stop it. Them folks is still going to watch the Browns. They just don't like what the Browns represent at this current point. So Deshaun Watson will be on the roster. Stop giving them this out card. And secondly, you can stat your way out of it, but fellas. You can try to stat your way out of it. You can stat your way out of this, bro, but you can't. I told you. And this is what I'm going to let you know. I'm going to play the next thing so we can get this together. You're You're not moving. Shedeur Sanders is entrenched. He's here. We're not moved by that. You can jump up and see, this is for a long time. I think what people is upset is that people's voices are being diminished. For a long time, people said what they wanted, could write what they want, do what they want. And it was law. It's no longer law. It just is what it is. It's no longer law. We are now questioning a lot of things. And Shedeur Sanders is going to be on the roster. Shedeur Sanders is probably your day one starter, and Shedeur Sanders will be here. So I'm just going to give you a heads up. Don't waste the next 6 months talking about Shedeur Sanders' EPA or whatever the stats he wants, because it doesn't mean not one hill of beans. It's a wrap. Haven't you come to that? It's a wrap. It is. I ain't even talk about Kevin no more. I wish you the best of luck in Atlanta. But we're not going to pivot to talking about Kevin Stefanski in Atlanta and be like, but Shedeur's the worst quarterback of all time. Let's get Malik Willis. Stop. But talk about this quarterback search right here. Talk about the coaching search.
Something you don't even want to see, because what's the reason to even go to the stadium then if you trade that guy? Like, everywhere you go, there's a wall. And so it feels like you're in Brown's prison, as we made the joke many times. And I think fans feel that way, and they want hope. They want somebody to dig them out of it. And you know you're not going to get any of the big names. Sean McDermott ain't walking through that door. John Harbaugh wasn't walking through that door. Mike Tomlin wasn't coming through there. They ain't coming in here to give you a stay of execution. It ain't going to happen. So you want to feel good about somebody who gives you a little bit of hope. And the great unknown is always the great unknown. It could be anything. That's why I think people are high on Grant Yudinsky. What can I say about his track record? He was in college 6 years ago. What can I say about anything that he's done before? All I've heard is some people in Minnesota, some people in Jacksonville now, the play-by-play voice of the Jaguars, talking about how good he's been. I've knocked down as many arguments as I can about the play calling thing, where I think a lot of guys get hired for play calling and then they sit down at their desk and they have to come up with a plan for their entire organization for the year, and they look at it going, I know what to do on 3rd and 7. I'm not necessarily sure what to do here as we get ready for the OTAs. Like, I've brought all that up. And I will admit, the reason why I think that a lot of people, because I can only go by how I feel, with Grant Yudinsky, is that he's so young and he's so unknown that you turn and you get excited for something like that. And you go, he's walking into this situation, and I'm mad about what's gone on here over the last few years, but I'm not going to be mad at him, and maybe he's brilliant enough to help save it.
Well, here's the thing. The problem is, and I do understand that there's a lot of people, you did say something that was correct on the way out right there. You know, people are looking for hope. They see it in quarterback. Now you pair that hope with somebody who may be young, hungry, wanting to do something big time. And now you got something to talk about. But the problem is, you just said that part out loud. You hit the nail right on the head, Ken. You see, there are a lot of people that want to see hope and want a new, fresh way of looking at things and want some new energy. That's what the new Cleveland media is about. That's what the new Cleveland Browns is. Hashtag new Browns. Is not the same old, let's talk about this dysfunction every single week. Let's talk about how dysfunctional everything is and how we don't got the top names. Listen, why would you believe that you was getting them names anyway? And no disrespect to them names. Who's to say them names came here was going to be in a position to put you where they need to go? Again, I keep saying it all the time. You have to put your own work and development into people. You have to develop your own way of thinking about certain things. And the problem is, when you do narrative-based content for so long, you begin not to know what's truth or reality. You don't begin to understand what it is that really goes into winning. Because by the way, if you've only been in losing, how do you know what it looks like? See, people talked about it back in the day, man. There was this parable. If you go back and look at it, it was people that was trapped in a cave and they lived in the cave in darkness their whole life. And then there was a person who was shining the flashlight, making all types of hand motions in front of the flashlight. And when the reflection shined on the side of the mountain, on the inside of the cave where it was dark, people started to derive everything in their world based upon those symbols, not knowing the context that it was just a simple flashlight and people putting their hands in front of it. Not only did they not understand what that looked like or was, but their whole universe was shattered when they left the cave. When they had to get out in society and understand that, wow, how primitive were we? Our whole world was derived around a myth, a lie, an illusion. And then they had to go out in real life and understand that what they was looking at and what they was admiring and what they was loving and their thought process, it was completely a lie. That's where we are today. We think that the best candidate is the candidate that came from somewhere else that was a good place. How good of a candidate are you when you just got fired too? Boy, I ain't saying there's something wrong with McDermott. I ain't saying nothing wrong with Tomlin. I ain't saying there ain't nothing wrong with Harbaugh. I ain't saying that I'm disrespecting what they put in the game, but let's be clear. They are available because they got fired somewhere else. It's not about who you are, it's the timing. It's about the fit. Who they are as coach today did not fit what their organization needed for today and needed to make a change, the same way the Cleveland Browns did. So that's why the premise of if Kevin Stefanski does well with the Falcons, guess what? It's going to be looking bad. It's a bad look on the Browns because he did something. No, it's not a bad look on the Browns. A bad look on the Browns is keeping somebody who's not good for you today. The bad look of the Browns is forcing a job hire because of what they did in the circumstances over this way. Because everything is different. It's nuance. It's shades of gray. It's not dysfunctional or greatest organization. We have no context. We have nothing. We've been losing so much in this city that you could turn over, roll over, turn the radio or television on and say dysfunctional 3,000 times and get ratings. Dysfunctional, 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 dumpster fire, dumpster fire, dumpster fire, and you could get ratings. That day is over. Give me some context. If you don't think Grant Udinski is a good head coach fit, deep dive into his playbook. Deep dive into what he was doing at Baylor. Deep dive into what his thoughts and philosophy is on football. If you think Shieldhouse is not going to be a good quarterback coach or a good offensive coordinator, dive into what you see in the Rams tape that shows you as the passing game coordinator that may not translate necessarily to the quarterbacks but then again, that would take some work. And why would I do any work when I could just say dysfunctional and get the same amount of views? Boy, this is, you would have to put some work in around here, homie. At the end of the day, we're looking for something. We're looking for the right coach. We're looking for the right person to get it done. And when we talk about why it is these people are doing all this other stuff, let me just show you. I'm gonna just give you I'm gonna give you just a personal highlight of this, of why I'm so hot this morning about the way you trying to frame interview questions. I'm trying to figure out what jobs y'all interview for where they didn't ask you none of these questions, because I would like to apply for them. I mean, evidently you guys got nice, high-paying jobs. I want one of these jobs where you come in and just come in and just get the job on your beautiful looks. Can I get one of these jobs? Because when I just wanted a job, when I was working, I'll give you, like people always say, one of the most viral moments I had was working and what did was on Damar Hamlin and Social Security and disability and how you can go about being disabled and different things and how, you know, certain things of that nature work. See, what people didn't understand is prior to that, I worked for one of the biggest companies in the world in submitting some Social Security applications on behalf of insurance companies. All of them. So I kind of knew what the questions are. I kind of handled all clinical nurses. I kind of submitted thousands of applications. And by the way, we would then go to state trials and state hearings in the event that they were actually denied or we felt like they should have been given Social Security. So, needless to say, there are a lot of jobs out here that give you a little bit of insight in the real world. But in order to get that job, my first job to even start that, I worked in a hospital. I worked in University Hospital, worked in Cleveland Clinic. And I was already working in radio. It was my side gig. And one of the questions that they had was, if you were and had a question, would you ask your boss for direction or would you figure it out yourself? Now, this is counterintuitive because the question, most people would think that I would go and say, I would find out direction for my boss. Because what you want to do is you want to show that, hey, I know the chain of command. I just don't want to do things wrong. I want to clarify, ask direction so that I can get it right the first time. And I don't have a problem moving forward. I can get direction, right? But it was a counterintuitive question, meaning that what you thought was the right answer wasn't the right answer. I had to do 3 interviews until I figured out, because every other question that I answered during that interview process was spot on. The problem they had was the way I answered that one question. And so the next time I went into an interview, I didn't get the job after interviewing with 2 people asking me questions. And then they would bring me in for a second interview. And then there was 2 different people. They asked me some of the same questions, but this question kept showing up. I answered all the questions great. And then the 3rd interview came up. And then I started to realize, hold on. I wouldn't make it to 3 interviews if they didn't think that I had the prerequisite baseline skill set to do the job. I started to think about the questions they asked, and I started to go through my head about the emotions and some of the things that they did in their facial features when they would ask me that question. And I really realized, I got to a point, I realized what they were asking. I had to do some next level thinking. Now, to understand why I was answering the question wrong, you have to go back and examine what job I was trying to get. So the job was a remote job. The job was a job where I worked independently in a trauma unit, emergency rooms, NICU, intensive care. My job was to go to different people and I would sign up. I would get those individuals to sign up for hospital charity or government assistance programs for individuals that could not pay for certain bills that were catastrophic. So put it to you like this. Hey, somebody got a gunshot wound. They're very sick. They could probably die. We need to figure out how we can pay for all of this other stuff. And you need to go to their next of kin, their mom, their dad, and you need to be able to go talk to somebody about financial stuff when their son or daughter is laying on the bed and they don't know if they're living. That takes a different set of skills. Or, hey, my daughter is born premature. She's in the NICU. She could die because she has an undeveloped heart. So my job is to go in a room, cut the tension, and be able to ask them crazy questions about how they can pay. Now, the question you go back and they kept asking me, if you didn't know how to do something, would you ask your boss or would you figure it out yourself? What they wanted to know was, are you a self-starter? Are you a person that can do a job even though it's difficult? You work in an emergency room at 3 a.m. and a gunshot victim came in. I need to understand the requirements based on how much money they make. Can I say yes, that hospital can work on these people and think they can get paid? Because I'm going to fill out this application, and I based on my expertise, I believe that the government will let them get it off, or they will fall into the categories in which they get into a certain category where their hospital bill can get paid for. There is no call your boss. If you're locked out of your computer and it's 3:00 and you're working a trauma unit, you can't call your boss. Your boss is asleep. I worked on the weekends. You can't call your boss on a Sunday at 2 p.m. Hey, I was locked out. Hey, my password doesn't start. Hey, I understand. No. Are you built for it? Are you built for going in a room where somebody is deceased and people are crying in grief? And can you find the person to get the right information so that that person can not be hampered with a medical bill of whatever that's going to be? Those are the questions they're asking. And so when I understood what they was looking for, I was able to answer the question correctly. Sometimes in life, you don't get a chance to knock on your boss's door and ask for security and ask for certain to be consoled and ask dumb questions you already know half the answer to. I want somebody that's going to figure it and you know what out. And so when you're asking these questions and when you're going into these interviews, that's what the Cleveland Browns want to figure out. I want to know what you're going to say when they start asking you dumb questions about whether or not you think the coach is trying to set up the quarterback. I want to know what you're going to do. I want to know what you're going to do when you get a phone call at 3 a.m. in the morning and you get a video about domestic violence. I want to know what you want to do when you got to deal with somebody that's very high profile and they got an assault case. That's what I want you to know. It ain't about 3rd and 7 or 2nd and 4 or who you should draft it. No, I need to know the other stuff, because the other stuff, the 90%, is what makes you a good coach. It's minimizing, it's understanding, it's heading things off at the pass. But then again, that's why I'm glad and thankful for my opportunities outside of this industry, because I can delve and dip back into different places in my life and say, yeah, I could give you some thought process on why you do those things, right? Okay. We don't get to it. Let's keep it going. I'm just trying to show you. All first verse, I'm just trying to show you. I got to know your personality. We got to figure it out. Let's talk about this. The dysfunction conversation we got to. Can we get to this? What is this? No, where is this? Another part of the whole coaching search situation is this thought process that because you ain't got the name that you want to name, the name that you thought you was going to get, is because they don't like the quarterback. Well, I told you, problem is you didn't diminish the whole conversation down the quarterback. That's one fault. But here's the other fault. This lie from the pits about why he's the worst quarterback of all time. Stop this. We'll talk about it coming up.
He's played in his short stint as a starter in the NFL. Yeah, they could make the playoffs. In the AFC North, Zach Taylor's the only coach left. You have Pittsburgh. They're interviewing Mike McCarthy tomorrow.
Malik Willis has started how many games?
What, 5, 6?
How many games? He started 6.
And
he started 6 games. That's an easy play. It's an easy way to hide a guy. If you really want to start 6 games over 4 years, pretty easy to hide. So you say, well, if he's played as well as he's played 6 games.
Yeah.
He's played in, so I'm going to give him $50 million?
Kenny.
Boy, that anybody but Shedeur is well. The anybody but Shedeur has been established well in the game. So now, as G. Bush continues to roll throughout the 2026. I told you 2025, we came alive. 2026, we ain't gonna miss. And we don't be missing. So now the conversation is, I told you wasn't no quarterbacks, and I told you what old boy should be going back to school more. Now all of a sudden, we at a place where It's now Malik Willis. Let me find a dude who played less games than Shedeur Sanders, less starts, and let's give him $50 million. But if you watched earlier in the show, you already know that you can't give him $50 million anything because you don't have the cap space. So this is a disingenuous conversation even to begin with. It's disingenuous. You are amping people up, trying to show you. Listen, it's more the same. You can't rage bait me into the conversation. You know you can't offer Malik Willis that much money, and you know Malik Willis ain't better than Shedeur Sanders. Let's just call a spade a spade. Let's cut the games. He's not better than him. You don't believe he's better than him. You never liked Malik Willis. You ain't never had a bone in your body who thought Malik Willis was cold. It's anybody but Shedeur Sanders. And the problem is, it's because you're on the wrong side of history. Even if you started doing podcasts that said Shedeur Sanders was the greatest man next to Robert F. Kennedy, you ain't got the momentum. Well, these folks ain't going to let you forget that. They're going to re-roll the beautiful bean footage. So you might as well just stay on one side because you get more traction just by hating than you do positive stuff. Ain't going to work. You know good and well, Malik. Come on. Like, come on. Like the Ty Simpson stuff. We already told you the Ty Simpson stuff is already coming. Ty Simpson, well, you got to look at Ty Simpson if you believe. Use this too. I always thought this was funny. How is it that you always say, if the Browns believe, but you never, guess what? But nobody in the Browns told you that they believed that Ty Simpson was going to be great. Nobody told you that they believed Dante Moore was it. Nobody has been on record telling you that the Browns thought any of these dudes was it. But yet and still, you always use, if the Browns felt like they were great, then you have to do it. All except for if they told you that if they thought Shedeur Sanders was great, if they moved 4 quarterbacks for Shedeur Sanders to play, if they told you at the end of the season they'd seen some things for Shedeur Sanders, then that same premise will fall, right? If they believe Shedeur Sanders is great and they believe he's a franchise quarterback, then we got to roll with it. But why is the energy different? You just brought up and dreamed up Malik Willis and then said, well, he's going to be good? How? When? Stop. Guys, we're not going to do this for 6 months. We're not going to do it. I just did it today to just let y'all know, bro. There's other opportunities. Let me just give y'all a heads up. You don't have to start every conversation with Shedeur Sanders. You can actually talk about things that's going on, like the Cleveland Browns and the coaching search. And every time somebody says they're not interested, you don't have to say they're dysfunctional. You can talk about what do the Cleveland Browns need to do. There's free agency coming up. There's the draft, the combine. We're going to talk to them later on in the show about the three wide receivers that I think are must-haves. You guys can do that too. You can get input. You can actually get some input from the fans. Hear what they have to say about it. But you don't have to keep talking about the stats. We don't got to keep doing it because it really ain't going to move nothing.
You have to take chances on certain guys if you want to get a leg up on other teams if you don't feel your quarterback room is good enough.
You need to go.
Do you think our quarterback room is good enough to stand pat? No. Then why do you think it's crazy to survey the landscape around the NFL?
Because you're telling me to give up money and a guy that the only argument you're giving me is if he plays any bit like the 6 games he started over 4 years.
If 32 teams felt like you would or 31, then nobody would pick up Malik Willis. So who picks him up? Who gets him?
31 other teams.
Who goes after him?
31 other teams are having a deeper conversation other than, you got to give me something to sell me on Malik Willis, Anthony. You have to give me an argument.
I've watched him play in games that matter, and he's been pretty good.
When did you watch him play
this
in games
year?
that matter?
When did you see these mythical games? Was these games in Jupiter? Where are these games being had at? I see they playing meaningful games. Talk your stuff, King. Talk your stuff, courtesy of King Carmen Anthony with Anthony Lima on 92.3 The Fan. Make sure you go check that out, 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. every single day on The Fan.
This year, he came in for Jordan Love this year against the Bears and played pretty damn well.
He started one game for Jordan Love.
And he came in relief in another game.
He started one game, and he came in relief. Great. So he came in a game.
So nobody should pick up Malik Willis, judging by your
That's
scouting.
That's not what I'm saying.
So then who does?
That's not
You're
what I'm
not
saying.
making any sense.
No. Here's who's. I don't give a you know what. Who's picking Malik Willis up? I don't care. My basis is not about what everybody else is doing. No, I'm not offering Malik Willis no money, no bag, no cents, no coins, no greenbacks, no ducats, no Lucchini, no Skrilla, no paper. No bag for Malik Willis. I wish you the best of luck, my good sir. This is nasty, nasty work. Come on. You know this isn't true. You can't believe this.
But your argument sucks.
So
That's the point I'm making.
So how do the Browns get better quarterbacks?
So, hey, Malik
What
Willis.
is Ken Carman's argument?
Malik Willis.
You just told me.
Here's how they get better at quarterback. Here's what you got to say. Shedeur Sanders says he did some really nice things as a rookie with a terrible offensive line and receiver core. How did the Cleveland Browns get better on offense? The same way that the New York Giants get better. And that's Hope Jackson Dart gets better over the offseason. How does Cam Ward get better? Yeah. Get better. Yeah, right? How does the Saints get better? Tyler Shuck get better. How do the Texans watch this? How do the Texans get better and get past the first or second round? CJ Stroud needs to get better and not throw 4 interceptions. How does Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills get better and get past where they are? Stop having 5 turnovers. You see, guys, it's called progression. And what are you going to do to get better around those guys? Caleb Williams, how did they get better? Well, they invested $80 million in their offensive line and got 5, 6, 10 receivers and 2 good running backs and their play caller. Well, how does the Browns offense get better? By getting rid of Kevin Stefanski and shipping him to the Falcons. That's how you get better.
The Browns are going to win 4 or 5 games with Shedeur next year.
I just want to make sure.
How do they get better at quarterback?
Anthony wants to hand him money.
Notice he's not answering.
No, because I'm going to make sure that everybody knows this.
Notice he's calling my idea dumb. His idea is sticking with Dylan Gabriel, Deshaun Watson, and the worst quarterback in modern history statistically.
Because everything.
Hey, there's that. See, you see how things stick. You see how it sticks. See, when you say stuff over and over and over and over again, what begins to happen is people start having the energy to rebuttal it. And that's how lies stick. You just keep saying it. He's the worst. And you just keep saying it. It don't work that way. You see, that is why we do shows here. And this is why I tell people, don't be arguing with folks in no 5 to 10 minute stratosphere. I'm not going to be dealing with nobody over talking, stopping me every 4 and 5 seconds, doing a bunch of extra. No, I'll wait till Saturday and fully flesh out everything I want to say in a 1 to 2 hour period with supporting details, audio, visual, documents. That's how I do my thing. And I think I do it very well. I just think, but see, you got it. When you arguing with somebody in real time and they filibustering, and every 10 seconds they still talking, he know Malik Willis ain't no good. Nah, man, you good. You know he ain't no good like that. Stop playing with us.
So that's a good idea. You guys heard it.
Because Anthony
said that's a good idea.
Because Anthony is obsessed with bots on the internet that he's arguing with.
I'm obsessed
that he's
with
willing
numbers.
to do anything to go on.
I look at numbers. What are you looking at?
I'll give you numbers.
What are you looking
I'll give you numbers. He came in 4 games. He came in 3 in spot duty, coming in for Jordan Love. So you come into games that they're getting ready for other quarterbacks and that they haven't seen a lot of you. So he's obviously played well enough. We can give him $50 million to the guy over 2 years.
This is why.
And invest in him?
Nah, we can't do that. We can't do that. But then again, listen. Bro, no, we're not going to do that. We're not going to do that. We're not going to do that. So let's talk about this real quick. Let's talk about this. We'll cut a little something with this. My man, this is a great thing. And this is how I view my content. This is how I view my content right here. I came across this. God just said, hey, download this and play this for him. Download this and play it for him. Let me see what this young brother got to say. Here we go.
The hard way, unfortunately.
Here we go.
There's a theory that I learned the hard way, unfortunately. It's called the lighthouse principle, even though nobody teaches it like this. A lighthouse doesn't chase ships. It doesn't scream. It doesn't move. It just stands where it's built to stand and shines, right? And here's the part that messed me up. Ships that need direction will find it. Ships that don't care will crash somewhere else. And for a long time, I wasn't a lighthouse. I was a rescue boat. I chased people in storms they kept choosing. I explained myself to people who already decided not to understand. I overgave to prove I was worthy of staying. And every time I did that, I thought I was being loving, understanding, and loyal. But what I was doing was abandoning my post. See, there's another theory that nobody talks about. The more available you make yourself to people who aren't anchored, the more they confuse access with value. They don't love the light. They love the convenience. So when I finally stopped chasing, when I finally stopped overextending, when I finally stayed still in who I was becoming, something uncomfortable happened. Some people drifted away. And at first, that felt like failure, like loss, like rejection, until I realized something powerful. The people who disappeared weren't rejecting me. They just never came for me in the first place. They came for the rescue. And the moment I stopped rescuing, the truth showed up. You don't lose people when you grow. You lose roles. You lose the role of fixer, you lose the role of savior, the role of emotional supplier. And when those roles fall away, only real connection remains. That's when your life gets quieter, cleaner, sweeter, more aligned. Because the right people don't need you exhausted to stay. They don't need you overgiving to feel close. They don't need you shrinking to feel secure. They're drawn to who you are, not what you provide. So if you're in a season where people are drifting, where things feel lonely, where you're questioning if choosing yourself was worth it, hear me clearly. You're not losing your way, you're finally standing in it. Stop chasing ships. Be the lighthouse. The ones meant to find you will.
That wasn't just for you, but that was for me. That's for a lot of people out there. I don't even know in the context of what I was talking about. I just felt like it was a perfect break because it was speaking specifically to some people. See, it's a lot of shenanigans going on out here. It's a lot of people flailing around, unanchored people. Unanchored people will drown you. Unanchored people that don't know where they going, don't got no light. They wishy-washy, they done flip-flop 17 times. They crashing out. You got to understand. Be a lighthouse, bro. Hey, my job ain't to be on no lifeboat saving nobody. And my light is where it's at. The real ones that's trying to get somewhere, they'll come around. But the rest of them, no. You ain't got no time for it. You ain't got no time for it. And I say that to say this. For the next 6 to 8 months, you let them folks stay over there and be dysfunctional. You let them folks stay over there and tell you that everything that Hey, this is bad. This is trash. This is horrible. You let them stay over there. You be a lighthouse. And you conglomerate. You stand unmoved. Lighthouses don't get in boats and go saving people. You know what you do? You stand in what you are supposed to do. And that's deliver the truth and stand in it. See, it's a lot of cats right now flailing. It's a lot of cats out there with no life jackets. There's a lot of cats with no life rafts. They out here throwing anything against the wall to see if it sticks. Let me throw it over there. The next day, your energy is all over the place. Because that's when things change, when motion changes, when you don't have the predictability, when you don't know, when the game ain't rigged, when you don't know and you don't got the inside stuff, then guess what you start doing? You start thinking on your own. I got to create some energy. I got to do this. And then all the time you're flailing, drowning in quicksand. You're still in one spot, but you're doing a lot of motion and ain't moving nothing. A lot of motion, not moving nothing. You're going to see a lot of that. But don't be fooled. This is what it's supposed to do. A lot of that motion is used to whip up a lot of energy. I used to get whipped up in the energy all the time. I had to let people know. If you don't think Shedeur Sanders can play, okay, that's fine. Well, you know, the reality of that is you ain't going to have no more information about whether he can or can't play for 8 months. So if you think that I'm going to waste my time, my energy, my peace, my sanity, and my energy arguing with you about something that you ain't going to find out about, you're going to be slowly and surely upset, because I will not provide any energy. I will not be providing energy to save you from flailing. You can flail by yourself. So when people say, G. Bush, why did you say, G. Bush, you should have stopped. G. Bush, listen, I'm a lighthouse. My job is to deliver what I believe to be the light and the truth. If you don't agree with it, you get in your boat and you paddle off and see if you can find your way to shore. We go right back. We in 2026. We moving forward, not backwards. Receipts don't lie. Tax returns don't lie. Just because you threw your check stub away in January of last year don't mean that the IRS don't know how much money you owe them. I ain't got to give you a receipt. I ain't got to give you a receipt every single time to remind you of how much money you made. Go ahead and don't pay them taxes. You going to jail. I ain't got to give you a receipt every single time you get emotional. See, that's feeding your energy. No, you need to create your own energy. If that's the energy you want, let me just tell you, it's bad energy, though. It's sugar. It's narrative energy. It ain't going to be nothing to sustain you. It ain't going to keep that afloat. It ain't going to keep you moving. It ain't going to create no new topics, because it's narrative energy. Narrative energy is empty sugar calories. You gonna crash, bro. Get you some substance. Get you some vegetables, a balanced meal, some meat, some potatoes, something that's gonna be able to keep you going. It ain't no energy drink. Exercise your mind. A lot of y'all not exercising your mind, bro. You're out here coming, when you're doing narratives, you ain't doing no research. You're running around, you think you come off these shows feeling good because your energy is up. Nah, that's narrative energy. Stop arguing thinking that's substance. Arguments ain't substance. Sometimes people need to sit down and understand something. It ain't gonna be exciting. It ain't gonna be cool. It ain't gonna make you feel all warm and fuzzy inside. But it is gonna do you like this. It's going to give you something that when times get tough, you can make it through a storm. See, we're not going to do that. I just trying to give it to him. You know what I'm saying? I just trying to, this is why I told him I'm not you, rappers. I don't, my stuff is different. What I talk about is different. Maybe it ain't for everybody. It ain't. I try to give you something that you can use in your real life. All this football stuff is light. What you do when you go home? What you doing? See, this is what you starting to realize. What you gonna do when that emotion of that season ain't there? What's sustaining you? Sundays, them games be interesting. I'm trying to give you something to get you through the off season. And the off season is a metaphor of life. You're not gonna be game day excited all the time. You might need something. You might need a word, bro. Look, you might be going through something. What you talking about, fellas? And the one thing that I always tell people is this, and it's been guaranteed, and it stands the test of time. The one thing is not refutable, and I put it on him. When I sat up here and told y'all, he said, "Oh, G. Bush going to the God roll. Oh, you getting all religious on him." I told you to start with, and it wasn't me. You know how tough it is? See, sometimes God will tell you to say something, and you're not going to get vindicated for it. You got to stand in that. Sometimes God will tell you to say something, and ain't no proof it's going to work out. He just said, "Let me see if you'll be faithful." When I said, "Hey, what God got for you, nobody can take. And if you meant to be in a certain place, God will move people out your way." What about that was a lie? When I told, let's start, Joe Flacco moved. Somebody rebuttal all of this. I'm just asking for this rebuttal. Joe Flacco removed. Kenny Pickett removed. Paul D. Podesta removed. Dylan Gabriel mythically gets hurt. Kevin Stefanski gives up play calling. Kevin Stefanski fired. Andrew Berry still here. Deshaun Watson still here. Where's Arch Manning going back to college? Dante Moore going back to college. What you tell me who in this whole doggone energy, you show me one person. And when we started this conversation, it was one person. And guess what? When everybody was telling this right, y'all was talking. There's some CEO aunties and people that was mad, upset. Get him out of here. He got to go. He need to be moved. We about to do this. We can't do this. I'm sorry. We got to go be in another spot. We cannot do this no more. Move him to another place. Nope. And what did I say to y'all? Under no circumstances. Who are you to tell God which we able and willing to go through and ain't able to go through? No. Jesus had to go through it. We all had to go through it. If he got to go through it, everybody got to go through it. You don't get to just take yourself out of the fire. You don't get to take yourself out. Everything that you went through prior to this is what you had to do to get here. Nobody gets to fast forward that. Nobody get to fast forward it. Why you feel like you special? I'm pretty sure Jesus was praying like, "Listen, can you take this burden away from me? Because I don't know. I was cool, but the night before, these guys, you don't know." So guess what? Everything that happened from that point, way back to that point, then came true. Happened. I ain't saying I'm no predictor or nothing. But all I am saying is this. Why would you see where somebody done brought you and then get right here and start questioning? because somebody else is bored, I ain't got no time for it. Because I feel like it's being disrespectful. If somebody, like people think about this, if somebody that parted the Red Sea and I walked over on dry land and I done came out of captivity, what make you think I'm about to get on to the other side and start arguing with folks? I can't do it. That's disrespectful from who bought me from where I was at. Sorry, can't do it. So if y'all want to argue amongst yourselves, have at it. But don't be alarmed when G. Bush say this. So be it, so be it. Time will tell, and we shall see. Hashtag New Cleveland Brown. Now, as I always told you, let's get into this football conversation because it's about football. We moving forward. We ain't just going to give you that. We going to give you that football work. Let's talk to him. Can we talk to him a little bit? Let me talk to him. Let's talk about that 2026. Problem I got with a lot of y'all is y'all running around here talking about how we going to get better. I only can talk about the quarterback. How we going to get better? We ain't going to talk about these receivers. Matter of fact, y'all can steal this commentary if y'all want to. Let's talk about these receivers. If you haven't noticed, me and Tyvis have been doing the breakdowns. We've been doing guys, right? We know it's a big three. We've been breaking down a receiver category. We've been talking about him last week. It was, I'm not a big fan. I'm not a big fan of Denzel Boston. Not a big fan. Denzel Boston versus Chris Bell was not. I mean, it was underwhelming. So one of the things that we're going to watch, and this is a thing that we're going to be watching throughout this whole process, is the jousting at wide receiver. We'll get to the linemen, but I want to educate you on these wide receivers. Now, when you talk about it, you're going to hear three names, three different body types, three different skill sets. Jordan Tyson out of Arizona State is the most twitchiest. He's the most quick movement. He has most explosiveness. He's not necessarily a deep threat guy. He's not necessarily a guy that just specifically works under the middle, but he's a guy that's explosive at all three levels. Carnell Tate, you talking about, you want to talk about smooth? Cadillac smooth. Don't even know he running. Deceivingly quick. 6'3". He just looked like a pro receiver. And Makai Lemon, a guy who's from USC, and he is to me is Amon-Ra St. Brown. He went to USC. He just reminds me of him. He can run routes. He's a slot guy, but he can run routes at every level. He catches the football, great body spatial awareness. And so each three of them are dynamic receivers that give different things, and it's a preference. This is going to come down to it, and I would love to see what Andrew Berry's preference is when you're talking about these guys. First and foremost, let's get to this. Let's get to some of the thoughts on some of these guys, because I'm here to tell you, I'm in a situation where I'm looking for an opportunity to get one of these guys. I just don't know who it is that I think. Let's hear from some guys around the league on some of these dudes. First and foremost, let's start with Mr. McShay. Todd McShay, he'll give his thoughts. We'll start with Carnell Tate. I'll give an example why people think that Carnell Tate is a better suited first round talent. And there's why some people think that there's some naysayers in terms of whether or not he's worth that pick. Let's start with the naysayers a little bit. And this is prior to this season.
One thing with Carnell Tate is apparently he ran like a 4.6 in high school or something. And some people think he may have run a 4.7. But here's what I say in response to that. Ohio State picked him. He didn't pick Ohio. I mean, he did ultimately pick Ohio State. Ohio State picked him. I see what translates. I see how important, and I understand how important reliability is.
He's reliable. Yep.
Awesome versus zone. Knows where to be. Understands leverage. Understands stems. Getting in and out of breaks. Understands the importance of catching the ball in traffic and being a tough guy. Goes over the middle. Does a lot of the dirt.
And by the way, them is all things that I want. Those are all things that I want for a match with Shedeur Sanders. I want somebody that understand where to be. And I get the fact that you want a blazer and you want all the highlights, but I need somebody that's going to get where they need to be and catch that ball. That's what I need. I just need somebody to be where they're going to be and catch that ball. And he does that at an elite level.
Dirty work. Big 6'3" frame, good catching radius, okay? Finds the soft spots in zones. Strong, confident hands. Only 3 drops last season. 5.4 drop rate, okay? Great effort as a stock blocker, man.
Great effort all around. Everything he does is effort.
Everything he does. And so I can count on this guy.
The thing I worry about is, have we topped out? Is he maybe topped out where he is? And that's a credit to where he is in terms of his development, and how hard he's worked and the attention to detail he pays. But I don't see an elite natural talent. And when you're looking at how that's going to translate to the NFL, I think he could be a very good player. I'm just not sure he's going to be a first round kind of player.
So that's guys on the downside, right? Those were some of the naysayers talk about. Let's talk about what people like, in terms of Carnell Tate, who's more of an upside guy, who has with those who watched him over the season. These are some of the things that they're saying, right?
Carnell Tate, man, he is just so detailed for a physically gifted guy as well. 6'3", 195. He's got the long limbs, big strides, chews up a lot of turf. He's got more juice than people realized.
More than I thought going into this year.
That's the thing with Carnell Tate. He has now mastered, because he gets off the snap into his routes with vertical juice, that corners go, damn, this guy's faster than I thought. I'm now in recovery mode. He's got long strides that eat up more turf. Then the rest of the game, they're like, well, let me sit 8 yards off of Carnell Tate because I don't want to get beat over the top. Well, now with his footwork and his refinement, he's chewing you up on these intermediate throws. This is a number 1 wide receiver, folks. This is what it looks like right here.
So, when you bring that into focus, you start to see when you analyze him on tape, he is on top of people quicker than you think. Because he's a long strider, he doesn't look like he's moving that fast. But when you watch him on these deep balls, he's always 5 to 10 yards away from people. Like, that's because he's chewing that cushion up. He is really eating that cushion up, and defensive backs is really having to be like, okay, I got to make a decision right here. And the fact that he's a precise route runner, he also is a guy that can run a lot of the routes on the route tree, and he just doesn't play as big as 6'3", if that means any. Like, sometimes in press coverage, guys can get in his body a little bit, and he just doesn't seem to play as big as he is. But when you talk about it, I mean, he's crispy. He's crispy. He's crispy. Let's take a look at this. And make sure you go check him out. This is he does a thing on YouTube, and this is courtesy of him.
Carnell Tate, man,
this is courtesy of, I think it's called the 2-minute drill. Let me
in the NFL almost.
Let me see. Let me take this down real quick so I can see. Yeah, this is called the 2-minute drill. Shout out to him, and he has these on YouTube, and he's gonna have these for all the receivers. He does this for Jordan Tyson and Mekhi Lemon as well. So take a look at that. And if you guys get an opportunity to, let me take this down so you guys can see. I don't want too much stuff on the screen here. Too much stuff on the screen while this is playing. But this is his 2-minute evaluation really quickly on what it is Carnell Tate is able to do.
Ohio State has had a very great run at wide receiver recently in the NFL. Almost every first-round pick has panned out and is the best receiver on their team. Carnell Tate is the latest OSU product to join the league. How will he fare? Find out in this 2-minute drill.
Make sure y'all go check out 2-minute drill on YouTube, courtesy of him.
Like I said in the intro, Tate is the latest wide receiver graduate of Ohio State, finishing the year as the number 2 receiver behind Jeremiah Smith. Tate comes in at a long-limbed 6'3" and 195 pounds and has plenty of experience playing outside receiver. Tate's most productive as a downfield threat. He has all the tools required to make plays deep. He is great at tracking the ball and has the body control to contort his body to make difficult catches. He has sure hands and is a snappy route runner to create separation downfield. Tate will be great as a sideline receiver in the NFL with these traits. His frame and catch radius with his natural athleticism allows him to make some ridiculous catches.
That's a crazy catch. 2 feet in.
This will also make him a great red zone target. He's also effective in the intermediate area with his route running and tempo. He's definitely a guy that you can't lose over the middle of the field. Tate's biggest weakness comes from his startup speed. When he gets going, I think he can actually run pretty well, but his long legs take him a while to get to that top end speed. This limits his ability after the catch. Tate doesn't offer much value there. He has decent ability in the open field, but he doesn't have the shiftiness or tackle breaking ability to be a real asset.
Yeah, he's not a shifty dude. Like he's not a shifty dude in space. He's not a dude like that's gonna have crazy run after catch ability. But if you're averaging, 30 yards a catch because you're breaking people off in your routes.
I would also like to see Tate be stronger on the ball. He has great contested catch ability, but there are times he let a DB beat him where I feel like he could have boxed out more. For a player comparison, Carnell Tate reminds me of George Pickens. Pickens fell to the second round due to character and injury concerns, but both are excellent sideline receivers who have the deep field ability to break open a game. Tate is more polished as a route runner also, which should give him more chances to produce in the middle of the field. For a draft range, Tate is a top 10 lock. There are too many wide receiver needed teams that could use Tate to open up their offense and as a reliable target for their QB. He should instantly slide in as a wide receiver 1 who can offer a ton in the deep and intermediate parts of the field. If Tate can get stronger at the point of attack and weaponize his frame like he has the potential to, there is no limit to his upside. And that's the 2-minute drill.
Shout out to the 2-minute drill. So that's Carnell Tate. You look at it, I like his analysis. He says George Pickens, he does remind me of that, but Carnell Tate has none of the character issues as Pickens, none of the injury issues as Pickens, and he comes from a place where Ohio State's receivers continuously go in the league and all they do is put up 1,000 yards. I think you could slot him right into there, and I think he's way more dependable in terms of his floor than Jerry Jeudy, right? So let's continue going on. Let's talk about the next guy. This next guy, for me, is the guy that's battling for the number 1 position, and it's Jordan Tyson. And Jordan Tyson, man, he does some things, man. He do some things. Problem with Jordan Tyson is the injury concerns are a bit of a problem. But let's take a look at what Todd McShay has to say about Jordan Tyson.
The thing about Tyson that I was really geeked up about watching him is his route running is impressive to me. I think he's on another level. What I love is the way he can win at the line of scrimmage, and then he can get square and vertical again, and then reset the defensive back, and then at the top of his route, make another break. He can put defensive backs in conflict. He gets them off balance. He is a really good route runner. I love the way he separates. I love the way he's after the catch. And I think that he had a chance to be the clear-cut number 1 guy here. But the thing that scares me about him, and I'll see if you say the same thing,
ball skills,
is the hands.
Yep.
Yeah. A little scary.
Tyson's 6'1", 195. He looks 205 or something.
He does.
Right?
I agree.
He led ASU across the board last year. He had 75 catches, 1,101 receiving yards, and 10 touchdowns. I think he's borderline an elite separator. What I like about him as a route runner is if he's not winning with like suddenness, he's winning with power and strength and the sturdy frame. I also really like how he tempos his routes. Some guys tempo their routes because it's cute. Some guys tempo their routes with intention. He tempos with intention.
So, for me, I think the injury concerns, but run after the catch, he's better than Tate. Run after catch, he's gonna give you that the shiftiness. When you see his highlights, we'll go over the highlights in our members only. If you want to be part of our members only, hit the join button. We do members only breakdowns, film breakdowns. Me and Tyvis have been doing a receiver series. We'll come up with the offensive line series coming up. The thing about him, he got run after catch. He's twitchy. He's a playmaker, man. So let's take a look at the 2-minute drill and what he has to say about him. We just saw Tate. Let's get to Jordan Tate.
Have been hit with the injury bug for a The Arizona State Sun Devils have been hit with the injury bug for a letdown 2025 campaign, but wide receiver Jordan Tyson has continued to shine the whole way through. Now this offseason, he's projected to be one of the top wideouts selected in the 2026 NFL Draft, so we're here to break down his game on today's 2-minute drill.
Make sure you go check out the 2-minute drill. Make sure you subscribe to his channel.
He isn't the most physically imposing prospect, but Tyson brings a level of composure and comfort that makes his play-to-play production look routine. A big part in why he recorded over 1,800 yards over his last 2 seasons, despite missing time with injuries. Some people may not love that Tyson has plenty of big plays where he just wins on a downfield jump ball, but he's got plenty of tape where he creates separation in short field that will happen in the NFL. Arizona's jump ball, but he's got plenty of tape where he creates separation in short field that will happen in the NFL. Arizona State was just on field speed. Additionally, he also has a laundry list of injury history that will require the green light from his medicals this offseason, or we could see him slip down the draft board a little bit. For a pro comparison, I think Jordan Tyson is similar to Roddy White, who played for the Atlanta Falcons. The former Pro Bowler was a very dependable pass-catching option who combined being a solid athlete with very impressive play instincts and technique. That type of calling card is good for established, sustained success in the NFL, and I think so wherever he ends.
So that is Jordan Tyson. So Jordan Tyson, to me, is a guy who is going to be the most polarizing. Some people are going to say that, you know, he has more playmaking ability, more upside than Carnell Tate. Some people say Carnell Tate is just a plug and play, and you need a guy that's dependable like that. I flip-flop between the two of them. I want to see what the pro days look like. I want to see the way he catches the football. But if to me, you know, Jordan Tyson is one of those guys, but the more I just think about it, Carnell Tate is just dependable, man. And sometimes you just want dependable. Sometimes you just want dependable. It's going to be a very interesting conversation. Last but not least, let's get to this next guy. Because I think going to the right place, because he will get drafted a little later in the first round, I do think Lemon out of USC might have the best year because he's versatile. He's a guy that can run a multitude of routes and be on different places of the field. He's shown some kick return ability. He's going to play with a team that probably has a better overall roster than what a team in the higher draft would be taking him. So I think this guy is going to be a dude who you should watch, and I think is going to be in the mix for, you know, one of the best receivers in the top 3. Let's take a look.
Talented draft for. This is shaping up to be a talented draft for wide receivers, and in any stacked positional class, the order prospects go in at the top comes down to preference. Mekhi Lemon finds himself in that conversation for wide receiver 1. What role does he fit in the NFL? Find out in this 2-minute drill. Lemon is coming off a phenomenal year for USC, where he broke out in a big way, capping off his year with a consensus All-American and winning the Biletnikoff before declaring for the NFL Draft. Lemon comes in at 5'11" and 195 pounds, which is becoming acceptable size for wide receivers on the outside, but did most of his damage for USC in the slot. His best attribute is his savviness at the wide receiver position. He is an experienced player and has a nuanced understanding of the position. There are so many small things he does that helps him win. He adds to this with great route running ability. His acceleration is great, and he understands how to use tempo based on defensive coverages to stay open for his QB. Lemon runs a full route tree and can really threaten a defense on all three levels, although he does his best work in the intermediate area, where his quickness and ball skills really shine. Lemon is a tough player who is capable and willing to make a catch knowing he's going to get hit and holding on to the ball. Lemon has great focus and hands, which allows his QB to be more comfortable throwing him balls in tight windows. Lemon's biggest obstacle to NFL success is his athletic ability. Lemon is quicker than he is fast, and he should test decently well, but doesn't have burner speed. He does well to work through physicality, but he will be limited.
You're right, David Walker. Lemon is a late first round. Rams, Seahawks, 49ers, Chiefs would be a perfect for him. Needs to work on getting stronger to break tackles at a point of attack. I think those teams, Rams, Seahawks, 49ers, and Chiefs, he'll go to those teams and he'll be an instant dude. You'd be like, he's the number one fantasy guy. Like, because they're going to put him in a position. They're going to have a quarterback. They're going to put him in a position to be creative, and he's going to get the ball a lot and a lot.
In the NFL by stronger and faster corners. For a pro comp, Lemon reminds me of Jackson Smith and Jigba as a prospect. JSN has blossomed into one of the best receivers in the NFL, but coming out in the draft, there were questions about his top-end speed and being slot limited. However, like JSN, Lemon's ability to win with his technicals and route running ability should allow him to succeed in the NFL. For a draft range, Lemon's physical limitations will restrict him from being a top pick in the draft. Teams at the top simply need that ceiling that Lemon realistically does not provide. However, JSN has proven you don't need to be an athletic monster to succeed, and Lemon should be a first-round pick. Bearing a disaster at the NFL Combine with his 40 time, Lemon should be a mid-range first-round pick to any team needing a high-volume and reliable target for their QB.
Problem with that is he's a slot receiver. So where do you want to do? How are you going to move with a slot receiver? How is that going to look? But those are the top three receivers. We'll talk about it. Yeah, Denzel Boston. We get to him. We're going to get to him. We're going to have a conversation. We got a lot of time coming up, right? But speaking of, I think the Steelers. Have the Steelers hired Mike McCarthy? Okay, Steelers hired Mike McCarthy. A lot of people, I've seen some comments on the board. I guess people wanted, the Steelers wanted some, they wasn't dealing with no first. See, here's the thing, too. Steelers weren't going to deal with no first-time head coach. Because the Steelers want to win. The Steelers are not about, like, you know what I'm saying, rebuilding all the way back to ground zero. So I guess, man, I mean, I wasn't interested in Mike McCarthy here with the Browns. It is what it is. Keep it moving. So that puts the Browns at a position. The Bills haven't hired anyone yet. So Udinski and Shieldhouse. I think Udinski is going to Buffalo to do an interview. Shieldhouse looks like he's going to interview with the Browns coming up next week. I'm telling you, man, Shieldhouse might be the move. It might be the move. We'll see. Like I said, I wouldn't have no problem with any three of them. Udinski, Shieldhouse, not Greg. I say almost Greg Shorts, Jim Shorts. I wouldn't have a problem with neither one of them. I think Jim Shorts ended up staying as defensive coordinator with the other two anyway. So it is what it is. So that's a quick update on that. Steelers just made their first ever coaching hire mistake. Yeah, so we you know, people, Steelers will draft a few of those guys. So Rodgers, Rudolph will have decent targets in the West Coast system. I want to see how that play out. Let's get to this. Let's hear from you guys. We got some super chats coming up later on the show. But first of all, let's get to our VIP hotline. If you want to have your voice heard on the Barbershop line stream, get together. We got the VIP hotline. You can become a member and get access to that hotline so you can have your takes heard live right here on the stream. So we got about 6 or 7 calls we're going to get to. Let's get to those. Let me see. Let's start talking. Let's go with this one. We kind of talked about this a little bit coming up here in the show in terms of why we so negative. Let's talk about why we be tripping, man. What's going on, man? What's happening? Let me see. Let me pull this up. Why are we so? Why does it seem like the Cleveland Browns, are we super duper negative all the time? Is that something that we're talking about? Is this something that we seem to be? Is that something that's new to Cleveland? Is that something that is just something that we dealing with, or is it just it's just in us, man? Because we seem to be a little bit hateful when it comes to the game, right? Let's talk about it a little bit. Let's go with this.
G. Bush, this is Just down in Atlanta again. I just want to address something real quick. I'm having a hard time listening to everybody, especially media, that just don't seem like they like the team. Like, this is our team. Like, let's keep it on the up and up. Our quarterback situation may not be clear, but it can be good. Like, let's get behind our team. I remember my favorite Browns teams or whatever, but all the teams I rooted for. Like, let's just get behind the team.
Listen.
G. Bush, this is Just.
We appreciate the call, man, and I agree. Like, I think it's crazy now, and I think what's going on a little bit is now you're starting to see, like, if people don't agree with what the Browns is doing, or they can't identify with the players that the Browns have, all of a sudden it's just trash. And I think there's a lot of people who are okay with the Browns doing certain things when they agree, or the players are identifiable to them. It's okay for that. But when it comes to, the team and changing, the culture is changing, maybe who they see at quarterback, maybe they see it in the front office, a lot of people conflate that as being like, oh, this team is a dumpster fire. Now, look, they didn't win a lot of football games, and they're trying to make changes, and one of the changes I thought they should have made was Kevin Stefanski. But now it's like, oh, because they moved on from Kevin Stefanski, and kind of how a lot of this kind of got shut down a little bit. A lot of this got shut down a little bit because you started to see guys like McDermott get fired. You started to see John Harbaugh get fired. You see Mike Tomlin step away. Some of the guys that you thought are really great names and guys that have done things in this league, all of a sudden, they're getting fired and they're getting moved. So now you can't say, oh, well, this is just no, it's about where you are at the point of your career. And I continue to say it. Who you are as a coach doesn't align with the future goals of what's going on. So they moved and made a decision to make a place. And the thing about it is, I think a lot of people are dealing with change. Things change every 5 to 10 years. The way you go about interviewing people, the way you think about winning and success, the look of the team, the feel of the team. If you are not a person that's comfortable with the way life and changes and how things move, then you're not going to be very happy with the Cleveland Browns. But then again, that's what life is in general. Life moves. You might want to get hip to it, bro. Get left behind, bro. It is what it is. Let's see. Let's see this. Somebody says, hey, they think Udinski is the guy. Let's see. Let's figure out why people feel like Udinski is the guy, and why this is the guy you believe that you want the Cleveland Browns to go after and target in the quarterback search or the coach search right now. Let's take a look at this this caller.
Hey, what's going on, G. Bush? I'm tapping in from Japan. Shout out to Dog Pound. I think it's obviously Udinski. That's because I think when Jacksonville were like looking at Travis Hunter's tapes, I mean, it was Shedeur throwing him the passes, right? So I'm guessing he's pretty familiar with Shedeur's game. So that's why I think he's probably the best one. Yeah.
Well, we appreciate you. Shout out to you coming all the way from Japan. That's how the barbershop move. Japan is in the building. We appreciate you, my guy. Continue to watch. Continue to support. By the way, these folks is silly. Again, they don't. This is why they not do. See, this is why Andrew Berry threw y'all off the scent. Andrew Berry said we're going to be looking to do everything we can to upgrade our quarterback room. That means inside the building and outside of the building. So when he told y'all that, he threw y'all off the scent a little bit. Y'all in left field talk about, I don't know what's going on with the Browns. We got to find Malik Willis. See, and y'all ask me, why is the Browns just coming out stamping Shedeur Sanders? I said, because that's more of that's clever misdirection for them other people that ain't thinking. You best believe that they're coming in asking these coordinators or whoever it is, hey, we like Shedeur Sanders. We feel like he did a good job in given our circumstance. Come in and tell us what you can do with him. Let us see what we can talk about. How do you feel you could get the best out of him? By the way, Trevor Lawrence wasn't playing well last year. I guess they did a pretty good job getting Trevor Lawrence back to the playoffs, right? There's a lot of quarterbacks that wasn't playing good. The fact that Sam Darnold is going to the NFC Championship is the reason why you guys have no clue. Think about this. This is crazy to me. Sam Darnold is a reclamation project. Sam Darnold has gotten back to a place of Baker Mayfield is a reclamation product. Baker Mayfield has gotten back to certain things. That's the movement. Why would you believe that guys in the league can do that with Sam Darnold and Baker Mayfield, but they can't do it with Deshaun Watson? You can't do nothing with Shedeur Sanders? Like, why do you guys believe that, like, he's the worst? Because you keep saying he's the worst quarterback of all time, and then figure out why there's a disconnect between what you guys think and the rest of the league talks about. Frankly, you don't have enough tape volume to be talking about who's the worst quarterback in the league. What are you guys talking about? So, of course, they're bringing these guys in, telling them what's going on. And being like, hey, how can we get to this? How can we figure out what we need to be talking about and doing? But then again, maybe it's just good old G Bush. Maybe G Bush be talking about, I don't know. What G Bush be talking about? Hank, one of the VIP. Hank always got a good question. Hank Sam, Jim Shorts is the guy. Let's talk about it.
Hey, G. Bush, is Hank. Shout out New Cleveland. I still think that Jim Schwartz is the guy, in my opinion, because he creates the same environment that Coach Prime did. Having that old soul as your head coach, but still allowing you to be you is what's key. But I do think we can find a nice young OC that can create opportunities for the new toys that he's going to get in this new draft and free agency. But I still think Jim Schwartz is the guy.
Shout out to you, my man, Hank, calling up, giving us the love, showing up. Jim Shorts is the guy. Jim Shorts is still in the move. I think the cool thing about it is, either way, if Jim Shorts is not the coach, I think he still stays as coordinator. I do think Jim Shorts has a 60% chance of still being the coach. I think he has a better insight and a better chance at getting that position quicker than some of these other guys. And by the way, the fact that you guys don't understand and didn't catch this, if Udinski is the offensive coordinator, you ask yourself, if Udinski is not the guy, what are you going to do? How is Udinski going to be the coach? Why would he take this job? What's the quickest way for you to become a head coach? Well, why would he take this room? If Udinski comes in here and Deshaun Watson or Shedeur Sanders look good, by the way, he's going to get a job ASAP. By the way, he's going to get it ASAP. I mean, he's like, the best way to put yourself on the map is to have Shedeur Sanders look like a franchise quarterback in 2026. He's automatically up for a job. If you could get that guy to look like it, and by the way, and do it in Cleveland, come on now. Why would he take this job? I'll tell you exactly why he should take the job. Let's talk about it. Let's get to it, man. Shout out to the calls. You want to be a part of the call list? Let us know, man. We bringing that information. We're giving you that energy. Let's talk a little bit about what you want to do in this offseason. What you want to do in the offseason. We just played the Bills. The Bills this season. What about a guy like Keon Coleman? Huh?
Hey, G. Bush. This your boy Unc, coming to you from Dallas, Texas. My question is, what you think about Keon Coleman? He a big body, clearly the Bills, they didn't think that he was their first choice. You know, apparently the GM just wanted to be a team player and just get him because of the coach. Do you think that that's a viable option and that he can help the Cleveland Browns? Because I believe you can get him for cheap, and he's still young.
Hey, man, listen. I like Keon Coleman. I like his upside. I liked him coming out of college. I like the fact that he would come to a new team and be hungry. I like the fact that he can go up and get the ball. He's a big body type dude. That's the energy I'm looking for. I'm looking for young guys with some upside that's able to do something and talk about something. That's what I'm looking for to start me a receiving core with. I like that energy. See, this is what I'm thinking outside the box. How are we going to get better, G. Bush? Give me a dude like that. Give me a dude like that. That's the type of energy I'm looking for. I'm all for it. I'm all for it. Let's talk about this, man. Let's continue to keep going. What do we got here?
G. Bush, this is my point of view. I think Cleveland is scared of change. They've been losing for so long, and the media never have nothing to talk good about. The players or nobody. And I think when Shedeur came, it changed them and it scared them for something new. Shedeur want to change the culture. He want to win. And I think that's what they're afraid of his aura and what he can do on that field and off the field. My thoughts.
Hey, listen, I appreciate you so much for pulling up, and I do think there's a part of this that happens. See, a lot of people is just gonna go by what people talk about, and a lot of people will. If Shedeur Sanders is a winner and he starts putting up numbers on the board, I really do believe that those individuals will come around because he has a global fan base. A lot of people don't understand it. They just want to make it seem like he has a regular black fan base. No, he has a global fan base. All them people that was throwing the wrist up when them jerseys was jumping off during Christmas, them wasn't just black folks. He has a global fan base. But the thing that people don't understand with this and how this thing moves is this. There's a lot of people that feel like they had a monopoly on what the Cleveland Browns are. And even though the Cleveland Browns was losers, there's a lovable losing feeling to that. It's a lovable loser. And sometimes when you hold on and you grip to something, your identity is of what the Cleveland Browns look like and what you identify with. But when that base starts to change, there's a lot of people that don't like. It's a lot of celebrities that follow the Browns because of Shedeur Sanders. There's a lot of people in other cities that follow the Browns because of Shedeur Sanders. And that's why it's a little bit of a jolt to them because they're like, well, you guys aren't real Browns fans. We was here first. That's why when you talk about it, a lot of people had this abrasive nature because it was outsiders coming in trying to steal what the Browns really meant. But everything changes. Everything moves. Everything, everything, it is different, right? Everything is going to be a different situation when you're trying to cultivate. And a lot of people don't ever get a chance to have new people come into their fan base. You got your same fan. So a lot of people is uncomfortable, but they feel like the fan base is changing. The rituals, some of the things that they held dear, it could be changing. They probably don't even like to say this. The new Browns, the new Cleveland Browns, nah, New Cleveland is an attitude. It's a way of thinking. It's a way of saying, listen, we ain't trying to think about no losing. We talking about what we trying to be different moving forward. The energy is different. The frame of reference is different. And so to some people, that means you trying to replace us. Nah, it ain't about replacing this, replacing that attitude. It's replacing that losing. It's replacing the energy. We trying to do something new, different. You say you want to change it, but do you? You say you want to be about winning, but you all talk about old stuff. If you say you want to be about changing the culture and raising the trophy, but you're still talking about the same stuff from 40 years ago, are you really trying to change it if you're still peddling and dysfunctional? Come on now. Are you really trying to change that? Right? Let's continue to talk about it.
Hey, G. Bush, it's Hank, New Cleveland. Hey, can you please explain the difference between these two new coaches, young coaches versus Eric Bieniemy? Eric Bieniemy has won championships. These coaches have not, but we're speaking highly of these two young coaches, but they haven't done anything of any significance that Eric Bieniemy has. Can you explain the different outlook on these guys versus Eric Bieniemy? Thanks.
Well, let's talk about this. The difference between Eric Bieniemy has a lot to do with what I'll always say. It always has something to do with narrative. The narrative is when we're talking about what you're able to do and what you're not able to do. Everybody know Eric Bieniemy can call plays. Everybody knows he can do that. But the problem is the narrative is that Eric Bieniemy is abrasive, or he's not a guy that gets along with everybody. He's not a dude who's able to foster relationships. He's not able to play nice with others. Those things, when they float around and get around the league, those things become narrative. Those things become reality. Think about how hard you had to fight, and you still continue to fight. And you have people say that Shedeur Sanders can't read defenses. That's one of the worst. That's one of the most laziest tropes that I've ever seen. Because the people who say it can't even tell you what defense they running. How is it that you can assess whether somebody know defenses, but you can't tell me what defense it is? It just, but that's how things become nature. Just same way that they say these guys are genius level guys. How do you know that? You ain't been in the room with nobody. We throw the word genius around like it's easy. Like you keep calling them geniuses, all of a sudden it becomes truthful. I think for Eric Bieniemy, his reputation became fact. And a lot of people, when you start to get to a point, it's the same way with Jim Schwartz. They say, well, you were a head coach 12, 13 years ago. If nobody else is bringing you for interviews, how good of a candidate are you? You see what I'm saying? When you got the new, fresh, young thing, it's always willing to learn and be excited about it. But when you've been in the league and the perception is that people is passing up on you for a reason, that reason becomes stamped and you become typecasted. It's the same way child actors can't get no new jobs. I only know you as that. I only know you as the guy from. I only know you as Urkel. Shout out to Jaleel White, but you know it is what it is. We got another one. Let's talk about this.
Hey, G. Bush, it's Hank. Sorry for the double tap. Can you elaborate on someone who can be that special teams coach for us next season? Because as fans, sometimes we lose sight on how important special teams are because they're the conduit between offense and defense. And literally, we lost 3 to 4 games last season because of special teams. I know your time playing at Ohio, you were a key contributor on special teams as well as a star player. Can you elaborate on that?
Yeah, let's get to it. Shout out to Hank doing his research. Look at Hank doing his research, man. This is why. Pull up on us. And you know what? Since you did your research, I always do my research. I keep receipts around, don't I? I'm the receipt guy. Let's talk about this. You say, who do we want? Right? This is a good one. Former Brown star Josh Cribb joined special teams as an intern. See, a lot of people don't realize Josh Cribbs, who is, I believe, in the Ring of Honor, as one of the individuals, was a person who really did a really good job of putting his ring in the hat, or his hat in the ring, so to speak, and becoming a special teams type of player. And he served as an intern. As a matter of fact, Josh Cribbs talked about this a little bit earlier. And what he talked about, what his experience was in terms of him becoming a intern for the Cleveland Browns, serving as an intern, figuring out what exactly he needed to be doing and how he wanted to talk about certain things. And let me get this out of here as we do this. I don't even need that. What is this? Do I just not got this? Did I figure it out? Here we go. Cribbs has also been on the job for a little more than a month, and his responsibilities been wide-ranging. He dug into the gopher work that flies under the radar outside of the facility, but it's a vital and everyday operation of NFL franchise. He's learning from a veteran coach like Jones how not to digest an entire playbook, but also to explain it to numerous players who fill in various roles of the Cleveland special teams units. When the Browns return to the field for OTAs and training camp, Chris anticipates he'll help in areas he's best known for: punt returner, kick returner, and gunner. It's a lot of time involved. It's a lot of hours. Not everyone is cut out for it. Not that they can't coach, but everybody is not cut out for the hours and the time it takes to put into coaching. Cribbs says that was one of the main important things in my discussion with Hugh. He said, hey, look, down in 3 months, and you figure it's not for you. No hard feelings. We still love you. Coaching's not for everybody. That's the process I'm in right now. I know I want this. I'm proving myself again. This is something I want to do and will exceed, just like I did as a player. I'm going to use this same mentality as a coach. So Josh Cribbs obviously has put that work in. Right now, I think he does a show with his wife. He does some things over a Big Play. Shout out to Josh Cribbs. Actually, be truthful, little known fact, I probably wouldn't even be where I was at today because they needed somebody to go on the show. And at the time, I was an unknown dude. I had done radio or whatever, but they really wanted Josh Cribbs to do it, but he couldn't do it because he was doing other things in that obligation and contract. So if Josh Cribbs would have took the job, you might not know who G. Bush is today. Shout out to Josh Cribbs, though. So, but yeah, I think he'd be a great special teams coach. So that's one of the thoughts of a guy who I think would be a really good special teams coach. So let's get to some super chats, man. We had a great show. We went all over the we did some preaching. We did some talking. We did some other stuff. Now let's get into the super chats, man. T Storm said, G. Bush, I love the latest start. I get to run my Saturday morning errands. We'll notify that. Note to self. Rosie, maybe we might put that down. She's the analyst too, so I might have to start. I'm not gonna say stop giving you these titles, man. You can start asking for more money. By the way, I do pay my wife. She does get a paycheck. Yeah, she gets a paycheck. Salute G. Bush in the barbershop, double wrist up. I don't got a wrist, but your wrist is a. Hold on, I got it on the cut. By the way, you can get this cut right here. It's down below if you want to. All the Kool-Aid Mafia gear is there. By the way, Nike gear is available. All the gear is available. Check out bushlinebeauty.com. LSU Tiger 21. The bottom line is the Browns interview process did not produce winning coaches. If they hire Hall of Fame coaches, then no one would question the process. You can't run a pro team like it's a retail chain. No, you can't do that. However, what you can do is you can vet your process and you can't ask them outside of the box thoughts. Who's to say this? I believe this is Andrew Berry's first time hiring a head coach. Kevin Stefanski was actually hired before Andrew Berry in this process. So I would like to, and by the way, D. Podesta is also not a part of this process. So from what I'm guessing, this is Andrew Berry's first time asking these questions. And some of these questions are the first time he's actually doing it. So I wouldn't put it in as an entire organization thing. I think Andrew Berry was his first time running a complete draft. He did a good job at it. That's why he kept his job. I think this is his first time hiring a head coach and putting his stamp on that process as well. Greg George says, let's go. What's up, cuz? I appreciate you. My question is, T Storm says, my question is, this is the same process that hired Kevin Stefanski. If yes, they need to toss the whole process out the window. I think this is probably a different process. Actually, I would be willing to gauge it's a completely different process because Kevin Stefanski was hired prior to your boy Andrew Berry being hired, and that process was run by D. Podesta, who's no longer here. So it's probably a different process. K. Slade says anything that Berry does now will be attacked. Of course it will. Hey, listen, they ain't looking around. Like listen. I told you early. Players in the draft is under a microscope. Quarterback room under a microscope. Head coaching hire practice under a microscope. This is what happens when Stefanski is let go and you're retained. Now everything is on you. We talked about that. David Walker became a member. Appreciate you, David. Welcome to the family. Torrance Smith, Plato's allegory of the cave. You see, this is what I need people to be understanding. There it is. See, this is that point right there. The whole conversation was worth it because that man knew exactly what I was talking about. And remember, I said this ain't for everybody. It ain't for everybody. Miss Bell, another one for the books. Go get him, G. Go get him. Miss Bell, as always, we appreciate you pulling up on us. We know what it is. Mrs. McWilliams. G, it is so draining listening to the Cleveland media talk about the Browns. It's like telling your own kids that nobody likes them and they will never be anything, and they wonder why they never win. I think, that's why we try to give you, these little pep talks, because it can be draining listening to people tell you they ain't never going to do nothing about anything. Sometimes people that's telling you that ain't never really won at nothing anyway. People don't understand how hard it is to win in the league, how hard it is to win a championship at any level. People I'm around that have won before. Tyvus won a national championship. I won a national championship in high school, back-to-back state championships in football and in high school. Winningest team ever in the state of Ohio in basketball. Yes, I played basketball and baseball. I haven't been on great teams all the time. I went to OU and we were terrible. But being terrible also tells you how great it is to be good. I'm in my high school Hall of Fame. So some of these people that'll tell you all these things about being bad, yeah, you're bad, but it also takes special people to turn things around. And just because what somebody isn't able to do before you does not have a bearing on what another man's going to do coming after you. Pete Rothstein, at this point, the Rams passing game coordinator. I'll take the Rams passing game coordinator because every time I watch the Rams receivers, they be always open. Pete Rothstein, I'll be saying the same thing. Them boys, it don't matter if it's Cooper Kupp, if it's Puka Nacua, Devontae Adams, they stay open. I don't understand. Brandon Cooks was open. Players spectating they float unrealistic coach crushes, Dable, McDermott, Gruden, Harbaugh, but never mention Tomlin. He's a Steeler. Don't work either. They love Flacco and wanted John Harbaugh. Tells you everything. Some of these people, they was never getting to start with. I keep trying to tell them, listen, if somebody asked me today, do you want to do, at one point in my life, I could have swore I wanted to do radio Monday through Friday for 5 to 6 hours a day. That was 10 years ago. I'm not doing no radio shows for 5 to 6 hours for Monday through Friday. For what? Sometimes what you think you want ain't what you want. Where I'm at today, yeah, give me that. Yeah, give me that. I control my own. Listen, I control what I want to do. I cultivate my own audience, and I continue to talk about, do things, and innovate and do things on my own terms. Why would I want to go back to doing what somebody tells me to do? See, it's about being an innovator. Don't be the guy that's following behind the curve. Be the curve. Averd Shaw. Browns media fans are cognitively lazy and emotionally biased towards dramatic fixes. Example. Solutionism is not a strategy. You don't fix a broken offense by drafting a quarterback in the worst with the worst offensive line and receiver rooms in the NFL. I listen. You have to be able to think about certain things. See, this is what I come up with. And I just keep this stuff around. I didn't know you was going to say that. This is the stuff that we talk about and some of the things we look at when it comes to changing cultures on certain things, right? Look at this. People say you want to change the cultures. How would you do it? How do we know how? Listen, because I work in other places. A responsibility-based culture. I believe in people's greatness. I must mentor, I must train, and coach. I transfer responsibility. Others being open, creative, proactive, and accountable, fully engaged. The motto is shared power, people first, commitment, relational, and based on intrinsic motivation. A responsibility-based culture is a teal culture, right? And while not yet mainstream, it's assigned or aligned with all of today's trends in agility, globalization, complexity, and advancing technology. A responsibility-based culture is characterized by power shared, people over profit, which helps profit follow quickly. Positive beliefs in people and business leaders who support staff to shift from compliance to commitment. Not just checking boxes. I want commitment. In addition, a responsibly based culture has relationships and foundations as it is developed in intrinsic motivation and leadership in all as central to self-directed, fully engaged workforce. Responsibility based is culture, a shared power, beliefs about employees. You are and want to be great. Management approaches, mentor, transfer responsibility. I want to mentor young players so that when I'm in that locker room, they operate as my unofficial leaders. They get guys together. I mentor them first and then transfer responsibility to hold people accountable to the people in the locker rooms. Accountability is task ownership, right? I want people to take ownership of the tasks that they're performing. I want my quarterbacks to be holding each other accountable based on the turnovers that they put on the field, right? Kinds of people cultivated, self-directed, and fully engaged. When people talk to me about what responsibility is and how you move, these are the type of things that go through my head. I don't peddle in lazy narratives. I don't peddle in lazy analysis. When you ask me a question about leadership and culture and how you go about cultivating it, these are the tenets that I assimilate to. Now, my question is to you is this. How is it that if I come up with something like this, why is it expected that a coach can't do the same thing? Why can't a coach do the same thing? I'm questioning. See, this is what the barbershop is for. My job here is to question your thoughts, to question your reality, and to make you think about certain things. If it's too much for a radio host on a Tuesday, it's a Saturday on the 24th, and it's a snowstorm coming. Is it too much to ask a person who wants to be the face of your franchise to come up with a one-page document like this? No, the problem is you're lazy, people are lazy, and in this country, we're looking for the easy way out. It's too many people that have lazied their way to the top and lazied their way to have a conversation and lazied their way into having platforms that can speak nonsense. How is this too difficult? How is this outside the box? How is this over the top? Huh? When I was in the real world, I'm going to just keep showing you. I just keep it on deck. This is what we had to do. Personality test.
Found your way to this video, you're probably asking yourself, what exactly is DISC? DISC is a personal assessment tool used by more than 1 million people every year to help improve teamwork, communication, and productivity in the workplace. DISC is actually an acronym that stands for the 4 main personality profiles described in the DISC model. D, which stands for dominance, I, which stands for influence, S, which stands for steadiness, and C, which stands for conscientiousness. People with D personalities tend to be confident and achievement.
My personality, as I took DISC analysis, was IDCS. You have all of these personality traits. Some go to the forefront higher than other. Mine is influential. You probably can see that, right? I lead with my I because I'm influential. I'm inspirational. I'm emotional. Like I emote things, right? I also am dominant, but I'm less dominant than I am influential. See, I'll listen to what you're going to say. I'll listen to how you're going to move, but I'm going to tell you how I feel. And if you got a problem with that, it's cool. But everybody communicates differently. So if I'm an influential person, how do I get across to a conservative person?
Driven. They place emphasis on driving progress and achieving bottom line results. You might notice your D-style colleagues acting assertively and making quick decisions. People with I personalities tend to be open and energetic. They care about relationships and influencing or persuading others. They seek new experiences rather than routine and tend to express enthusiasm about projects and priorities. People with S personalities tend to be very dependable. They value harmony and place an emphasis on cooperation and sincerity. So you might notice your S-style colleagues offering to help others and keeping the peace during tense situations. People with C personalities tend to focus on logic and facts. They place an emphasis on accuracy, expertise, and competency. You might notice your C-style colleagues paying close attention to accuracy, maintaining a stable work environment, and challenging assumptions. In addition to a person's primary style, everything DISC assessments measure priorities, which are situated around the DISC circle.
Now, listen, we're not going to give you everything. If you want to go try it out, shout out to DISC. They do that but every corporate America has 1,000 of those. But the problem is, and point of it is when you're working with a bunch of people, it is known that everybody has a different communication style. And in order for you to get the best out of people, you have to understand what messaging you need to use in order to get there. So instead of being like, I don't know how these kids today, they talk through rap music and bebop music. I don't know. I just want somebody to throw the ball down the field. That ain't gonna get it done, bro. First and foremost, you got to know people's communication styles so that you can communicate in a way that they understand the message and get it done. But my point of all of this noise is, and the conversations is, if we sitting here talking about why it is that the Browns are dysfunctional and they have all this other stuff, guys, come on. First and foremost, that's lazy. Second of all, bring some analysis to the table and be more in depth to what we're talking about. And everything, if everything that we're talking about is, let's talk about the quarterback room. It's the worst in the league. Let's talk about the Browns hiring process. No one wants to come here. It's the worst job of all time. Let's talk about the stadium. Stadium is terrible. We got a new stadium coming, but it's too expensive for everybody, so we can't afford it. Let's talk about the fan base. The fan base, the fan base, I don't know why they keep coming up to watch this stuff. They're gluttons for punishment. And let's talk about the player. Well, players are dumb. They think that the media is the problem. The problem is you. Let's talk about Shedeur Sanders' fan base. His fan base thinks they're in a cult. Bro, what did you say? What about what you just said was informational or analytical about anything going on? We don't know about the candidates. We don't know about the draft. We don't understand what the quarterbacks need to work on. We don't got none of that. I'm just saying. To be honest, most of the old media is outrage isn't real. It's just another attack angle for them to throw dirt on AB and 12. If it was one of the good old boys, they call the head coach search detail-oriented and extensive. JB Smooth, I think you're kind of getting it too. I think a lot of it is the approach is, let's figure out the rage bait idea angle. Guys don't even be believing that stuff. Half the stuff they don't be believing. They don't believe that. You can't believe it. It's engagement farming. So some people will get mad and, respond to it. But to be honest, they're just moving the needle so that we can continue to have something to talk about. But for me, I can't talk narrative based forever. I got to get down to some substance. Let's talk about that real football. Nita says, if players have to interview, draw out schemes, take playbook quizzes, be weighed, measured, run, jump, catch, etc. in their interview, what is the problem with coaches showing their work? Nothing, Nita, at all. Zero. What we just showing you is a lazy story. I'm showing you. We're showing you today. It's a lazy story. Because anybody knows that if you've ever interviewed for any job, and I've interviewed for jobs that was minimum wage, barely above minimum wage, and I had to do way more than what these guys are supposedly expected to do, and they're making millions. What are you talking about? Yeah, of course. Obviously, they're going to have to go through that. And if you didn't want to go through the interview, just redraw your name. Some people did. No harm, no foul. There you go. Maybe they don't want to be the coach. I'm not looking for everybody being a coach. Some people be dating people. Everybody you date don't mean you marry them, right? Wasn't meant for you, bro. Yoshi Doshi just got off a podcast where they were downgrading Shieldhouse because he's a passing game coordinator. Can you explain the portion of a passing game coordinator? Thank you. Well, I mean, it's very important. A lot of these people don't know what offensive coordinators do, and a lot of them don't understand the time, energy, and detail that it goes into being a passing game coordinator. The passing game coordinator is coordinating all things considered with the passing game. He is protections, the pass protections. Like in terms of if we get this look, the pass game coordinator is going to say, okay, well, where if they blitz off this left-hand side, if they blitz off this side, can we block it? How do we want to protect this play? Do we want to slide? Do we want to leave our left tackle on the island? Where are our running backs going to field? Are our running backs going to field middle first to the outside or outside in? Do you want to double team a certain specific player? On a hot route, where is our progression on this play? If we get cover 2 on this play, who's the number 1 receiver? We want to. What route do we want to work from left to right, or we're going to look at the slant first? We're going to look to the dig second, third, or we're going to look to the deep come back out, and then fourth. What is it? The back out of the backfield check release. So they're going to establish the progression. So they're going to have a lot to say about where the ball is thrown, the protection that you're going to be using. What is the scheme, the route combination, everything in the passing game. So for somebody to act like, I mean, you're touching every level from the offensive line to the running backs to the receivers to all those things. But a lot of people will not know that because they don't kind of know what passing game coordinators do. CMD Playtown. G. Bush, I can't watch UCSS anymore. Why do you let them boys interrupt your takes, give you pushback, but then you let them get their takes off? Here's the thing. I always tell people like this. I think arguing back and forth is not a good way to disseminate information. So sometimes when you have a platform and you on a platform where you got 35 to 45 seconds to state your claim on a topic that's pre-produced by somebody, sometimes you're not going to get all you want out. Sometimes you're not going to get your whole thing out. For me, I believe that, like, yeah, I could do the same thing. I could cut people off. I could do it, but that don't make a good show. Now, if you notice, if I really want to say something, I'm going to get my money off. If I really want to say something, I have no problem stopping people right in their tracks and being like, I need you to be quiet for 5 seconds because I'm talking. And the reason I do that is because I'm really passionate about what I'm going to say and what I'm saying. And I've shown myself to say that. If it's something trivial and I'm just like, okay, you filibustering, we can play this game. And truthfully, how I think about everything and feel about everything is sometimes my job ain't to be like, yo, my job ain't to rebuttal everything you said. Like sometimes, and this is the great thing about, we all are hosts and we do our thing. If you say something, you got to speak on it and stand on it. You on the platform just like that, you're going to see different people that's going to come at you and say, well, you said it's the most ridiculous thing in the world. Okay, you did. Stand on it. You deal with that. But for me, I don't have to stand in the way of you saying something. By the way, I much prefer to cultivate my ideas on my own platform. So, hey, if you want to know what I think, I've been on here 2.5 hours. I think I fleshed it out. Very detailed, oriented, in a very entertaining way. So that's where I lay my stuff out. Smooth's STP says what folks need to know is the Browns, being analytical driven, had the same numbers of Shedeur's on Shedeur than that detractors have. They have also have the numbers that those same detractors leave out for the lack of context to push a narrative. There you go. They have all of the information. If you think that you got numbers, okay, you got them. But let me just ask you a question. If the Browns had the numbers that said he was the worst quarterback in the history of mankind, why is Shedeur Sanders playing and Dillon Gabriel wasn't? If he was the worst quarterback of all time, why they fired the coach and he's still here? I'm waiting for that. That's not rebuttable. If he was so bad, why is Dillon Gabriel not playing today? And the same people who said he can play, y'all want to trade him now. If it was so bad, why is the coordinator and the coach no longer here? All right, well, you can't answer that. Hey, listen, you can't rebuttal that, bro. T Storm says, Bush has said many times it's not his platform. That's why we have the barbershop. We decided in 2026. We're not arguing with them folks no more because they never will be convinced. I think that's part of the major things that I always say and I always preach is understand the larger picture. I think platforms are great, and I think platforms are here for multiple reasons. I think if it was not for UCSS, that the barbershop would not be as popular as it is, because UCSS also gives me an opportunity to verbally joust and to say my points in the way that I say them in a platform where they're against other people in real time. There is no other platform in the game where you can sharpen your sword like UCSS. When I go on there, you got to be ready to go. And I've shown myself to be very, very able and agile when it comes to the verbal jousting when we talking about some of these topics. I said, I think that people got to understand that it serves a purpose. But even more, if you interested in the way I give it, in the way I put it down, come on over here. Because if you think I'm good there, I got a whole hour, 2 hours to flush my ideas out and we can get to the real smoke. So both serve a purpose, both serve an opportunity, and both platforms are great because it gives an opportunity for discourse. Let me just tell you this. I'm part of the reason why the Cleveland Browns is popping. UCSS is part of the reason why people is household names right now. Because we open in the context, we open in the doors for people to comment on certain things and to talk. So they all welcome. By the way, you can't mention, by the way, I wasn't able to say this before. But if you talk about the Cleveland Browns and you not mentioning my name, you done lied to yourself. If you're talking about Cleveland Browns and I'm not mentioned, that means you playing yourself. Because there's no way you can say you talk about the Cleveland Browns and G. Bush is not in the conversation, because I do it at every level. I'm on Cleveland.com on Fridays. I do the Bleacher Report. I do a Bleacher Report for the Cleveland Browns. One of me, like I do the report on Bleacher Report for the Browns 4 days a week. I'm on UCSS 5 days a week. I do the Barbershop. What, can we keep going? I do Ultimate Browns. You can't say if you mention in Browns, you better mention G. Bush. I work for the Browns radio network. I did the Browns postgame show. I got the #1 postgame show on UCSF. What are you talking about? So we're going to continue to be on every platform. All of them is my platforms, all of them. If I'm on a platform, it's my platform. That's how I feel about it. Shout out to everybody on the platform. I see when you're serious and stressed, I'll say something weird. I hope when I'm not serious, I can lighten the mood. Keep the positive energy, G. Bush. I like that, Yoshi. I appreciate you, man. Birdshoe G, do you know something weird? Weird, don't know. You keep saying Tomlin got fired when we've been told that he resigned. Here's what I'm saying. I think Mike Tomlin told him like this. Here's how it went down. I think Mike Tomlin said, hey, y'all keep running around here trying to tell me that I ain't the dude. You keep trying to tell me, well, Mike Tomlin ain't doing it. Mike Tomlin saying, listen, I won a Super Bowl here. You find the next dude. Yeah, I'm going to go out and chill out for a little bit. And then I'm gonna come back and coach. Mike Tomlin will coach. He's gonna sit out this year, but I think Mike Tomlin got tired of it. It's like, listen, y'all cats is not respecting the throne. You're not respecting the work I put in. The fact that I'm continuously doing this for this longer time and process is crazy work, and y'all not putting respect on my name. I'm gonna resign, and you figure out how difficult it is to continue to do it. We'll see how it works out for you. That's what I think. Now I don't know nothing. That's how I feel it goes. Deacon G. Bush, Big 1J, we appreciate you. Thank you so much. Reverend B.J. Nelson, not my will, but the will of the Lord be done. Luke 22:42. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed, Pastor. Marie. Some people in UCSS and 92.3 aren't really Browns fans like you and Earl. They keep it 100. That's why they talk down on the team. I've never seen local media be so negative on the team they claim to support. Hey, just because you work covering the team don't mean you support them. That's what I had to learn. It's a lot of people who got teams that they support and they in the media, or they got an affinity to another team. You know, they may not necessarily support these Browns. But for me and Earl, like, this is the team. This, like, I just want to see what the jerseys look like. This is my squad, bro. I ain't got no other team. I root for, like, I got an easy route in life. I play for OU, so I root for the Bobcats. I play for Kent McKinley, so I root for the Bulldogs. And then I root for the Guardians, the Cavs, and the Browns. That's it. I can like different players, but, like, those are my teams. Very cut, dry, and easy. I learned it ain't like that for everybody. If you double space your essay and have a nice cover letter, not only will you help with the Rooney Rule, but you might get the job. My mom used to, look, I come from, I'm sorry. I come from, listen, I come from I ain't gonna say they're militant, but if you watch my videos, there's one thing that stands out. If you watch any of my family videos, my mom, when she graduated college, she was magna cum laude. She had all the tassels. When I graduated college, I had nothing. I got a diploma. But when she graduated, she had all the tassels, all of them. My father graduated in the 70s from HBCU. He's the first dude in my family to graduate. First one. And they got 11 brothers and sisters. If there's one thing, my wife got a master's degree. All of her siblings in the Philippines, ain't none of them poor. You know why? They either principals, engineers, police chiefs. Ain't nobody poor. If there's one thing that the people that all my brothers got degrees from college. If there's one thing people believe in where I come from, it is education. And I might be the lowest born on the list, right? But there's somebody, they believe in education, bro. So you can't tell nobody when you talk about I can't believe they have. I'm like, where y'all been at, bro? My mom, when I went to regular jobs, turn in a resume. You know what they tell you? Where your resume at? My mom had me bringing resumes to places didn't need a resume. I was in JTP, Job Training Partnership. It was a summer program back in the 90s. You got to work at the park department. Maybe you got to work different places. My mom said, yeah, you're going to have a suit and tie. You're going to go in there with a resume. And my resume wasn't nothing but hobbies that I had and my school stuff. But you know what? Because I went in there like that way, I got to work at the clerk of court's office. Everybody else was cutting grass. You know what it taught me? Stay ready so you don't have to get ready. Receipt copyright. I think that might be it. Any questions about AB pulling the clearance wide receiver special and trading for a distressed asset without a day 2 or day 3 pick? Example, Keon Clark, Harrison Jr., Ayuk. I'll take Keon Coleman. I'll take Harrison. I'm out on Ayuk. I heard something from a very reputable source that, yeah, I'm not going to touch Brandon Ayuk. I'm not going to touch him. And I don't say that very often. Yeah, I can't touch Ayuk. But Keon Coleman and Harrison Jr., I love those picks. But I don't know why they would trade Harrison Jr. Keon Coleman, somebody asked about that too. I'll take both of them. Bev Skid. Nephew G. Bush, please do podcasts on fake news created. 12 is the most divisive rookie and player in the NFL. 12 is no drama. Anti-12 media created that BS. Please do a show on it. Lloyd uses that BS take. I think we just did 2.5 hours on it. You know, like you can float that out, but here's always think about that. Your energy level that people talk about, like debasing that. Here's the best way to debunk that. Well, I just saw Shedeur Sanders beat the Pittsburgh Steelers and the Cincinnati Bengals. And if they would have lost them 2 games, they could have drafted a quarterback. Turns out that he beat Joe Burrow in the game, right? Where's those statistics? Just because somebody say he's the worst, also you got to be bringing up this. See, negative emotions is always going to be higher than positive. You just tell him he's thrown for the most yards and touchdowns in the game than any other rookie this year, including Jackson Dart, Tyler Shook, and Cam Ward. He's one of only 2 quarterbacks ever to throw for over 350 yards and have 4 total touchdowns. Those are stats that I like to look at. And he did it without no reps. Please have 2 seats, sir. Black Angus. If I'm Barry, I try to trade down, get an extra number 1. Are any of the offensive tackles receiver truly worth the top 10 pick? Doesn't look like it. Problem is how people say if you ain't worth it, somebody gonna get taken there. So I mean, somebody gonna get taken there. Worth is a funny thing. Maui Noga, people talk about he's a guard, but if I need all offensive linemen, I need the guard to be good too, just like the tackle. So we'll get into it more in terms of the trade down. To trade down, you need somebody to be willing to trade up for. So there's the self-fulfilling prophecy. If a guy that don't fall to you at 6 is so crazy that other people want to trade for to give up assets, then you're kind of stuck in that position too. A couple more here. Look at JSN, Olave, and Abuka. They weren't the number 1 receiver at Ohio State, but they were number 1 talents in the league. Don't tell me Tate can't be a number 1 receiver. Mark Hicks. I think Tate is going to show that to me, I think he's the most pro ready. If I had to watch him, I just think he's a dude. He looks like the part. He looks the part, man. Yo, G Bush, go check Josh Cribb's seafood spot. I didn't know he had one. He got a seafood spot? David Walker. Old Cleveland needs to understand it is better, that it's better to be good than it is to look good. People fear what they don't understand, and they hate what they fear. One's trash is another's treasure. I like that. Hey, sometimes, boy. Miss Nurse Fancy, we appreciate you. Thank you so much. David Walker, old Browns have a method of paralysis by analysis. # New Cleveland. That New Cleveland going to hit different. I'm going to tell y'all, that New Cleveland going to hit different when they start winning. Boy, because, I mean, we didn't even try to start nothing. It just came above. G, what's weird is that the folks will believe anything. If a person says it, then it must be true. People lie every day on the news. In life, it's propaganda. You know what's so funny? Mary or Marie, people would rather believe a lie than the truth, because sometimes the truth shatters their whole concept of what their reality is. You know, sometimes people know what they're saying and what people is giving them as a lie, but it's always easier to accept the lie than to accept what what true in reality is. I always go to the Matrix. If the Matrix makes you feel good and the Matrix is all just beautiful sunshine and everything is a lie, 99% of people stayed in the Matrix and don't want to go to the real world, because who wants to go to a dystopian society where it's, you know, scoring the sky, ain't nothing growing, it's dark, it's a nuclear war outside, you're scrounging for food? Let me stay in the Matrix. Put me back in the Matrix, Neo. Why did you free me to start with? See, most people don't want to be free. They just want cushy things that make them feel good. So people will believe anything, especially when it reinforces what their worldview is. You need a new soundboard, G. Bush. Maybe let me know. Maybe no. I don't know. Maybe I need a new soundboard. I got a pretty good one. I thought I sounded all right. Y'all let me know if I need a new one. With that being said, we appreciate everybody that pulled up. We let us know in the comment section, do you like the 12 o'clock? We might do 12 o'clock. Maybe it might be more people in here. We'll talk about it. But with that being said, you never know what G. Bush might show up, radio, television, internet, but you want a fresh take on sports, you know where to find me. Have a good rest of your evening. And like I always tell people, go Browns.